Good evening, I'm Adventure Argonaut. This is Stafford Case, and we are back. I didn't stream on Saturday or Sunday because I was busy with stuff, and finally we get to continue the case of the guy being split in half. He was split in half vertically, and also the two halves of the guy were in completely different places, and he's a collector of staff. So staff items are basically magic items, and it's very likely that at least one of his items had something to do with his death, but of course we don't know what his staff items do. But before I get to the game, I have to announce that I just uploaded another video to my RPG Argonaut YouTube channel, which is for tabletop RPGs. It's about fear mechanics, how they suck in role-playing games. But let's go and play Stafford Case. Let's solve another murder, unless it's an accident. That's always a possibility. So this one looks like it's the latest. And also happy June. Oh yeah, was the inside of this car always this nice? And so we're gonna go see, because so far we only interviewed the wife of the deceased. Smooth this a bit, alright. But there's like some other staff collector that we're gonna go talk to. You had to ride in the sergeant's car, huh? I really thought I was gonna be crushed in there. It was a rather traumatic experience. Brian must have shoved himself between all those files, but we could have fit a third person in here. He must have worried about leaving Pandy by her lonesome. He's so polite it bothers me. Detective Thena, I've been meaning to ask you something. About dating up and breaking off with Brian? Piqued your curiosity, huh? How'd you know I was gonna ask? I can tell you from the look on your face, I'm the head of interrogations after all. It'd be nice to see some of these abilities during our actual cases. But note, you must not have a polite bone in your body. You know you're not supposed to pry into long-dead relationships, don't you? Is that so? Sorry, I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to relationships. He's an incel, oh my god. Like I said before, there was no one else my age in my hometown, so the only love stories I heard were from those in their 40s, and also... Let me stop you there. Sorry, I shouldn't have just cut you off like that. Why is Detective then always apologizing when I start talking about my hometown? So, he and I have known each other for quite a while. We were at the Stafford Training Center at the same time, but we only started dating after I transferred to this division. Stafford Training Center, I heard about it once before. I wonder what sort of place it is. Did we start dating right after I transferred? Anyway, we were together for about a year. We didn't separate over anything in particular. It just didn't feel at all special when I was around him. Huh? He's so nice to everyone around him, right? Then imagine whether it's his lover or some random person he just met on the street. He treats you the same. I wanted to be his everything, so... Oh, is that the place? No, do you see the building with the blue roof over there? I think that's Montague's apartment building. Yeah, I think you're right. The address is the same as the one Mrs. Miller wrote down. However, the building's way older than I imagined. Montague's room. Still the same day, maybe, probably. Okay, that looks Spartan and... No, it looks Minecrafty and somewhat depressing. So, well then, I guess we can just waltz right here since the door's wide open. But where is he? Is this the right room? Is he dead too? Oh no, did he find out we were coming and run? If that were the case, he'd be making our job easier by confirming he's our guy. Tracking him down would fall to the blokes at the probation's office. For now, let's wait for Detective Brian and the surgeon to get here. The investigation might turn something up. Yes, I guess it might. I just felt a slight vibration coming from the corner. Huh? Oh, did you catch that? Not bad. Where'd you come from? I didn't see anyone over there. This cape is a piece of staff able to make its wearer invisible for 1.3 seconds. Wow, that's useful. Staff? But isn't that a rather short period to be invisible? Yeah. It is, so to make up for that downside, I needed to hide myself under the bed. How is that any different from just hiding under the bed in the first place? I'm not sure what brings you here, but you do well to leave quickly. I got 15 pieces of staff I'm quite proud of, and I'm all ready to be triggered. Hahaha. Have these ones ready to go off at any second too. Sound good to you? Huh, you think a gun is going to do anything to stop me? Oh, so you have some way of stopping it? Does that mean I can pull the trigger? You want to waste a bullet? Let's cut out with all that waste and in a recession of all time. Plus, if I somehow let my guard down and fail to stop it, we'd both be in a world of hurt. For some reason it seems he's losing some of that confidence from before. Note, have you met up with Montague already? Currently confronting the man. When are you and the sergeant due to arrive? We just arrived, but it's gonna take a moment to wiggle out from between all the files. We'll be up there soon. Seriously? Where would you be without my help? I'm so ashamed. Isn't it the sergeant who got you into that mess? Stuff with the power of communication that takes the form as a sport. You lot with the Bureau? That's right. You know about these sparks? Though the Bureau has never made an official statement about them, their existence is quite well known among collectors. Rumors abound regarding the Bureau producing staff in the shape of sparks. I see. I think I know why you came all came looking for me. I imagine this is about my friend and associate, Peter Miller. Could we get some information from you? I guess I can help. Officer Blondie, would you mind lowering the gun? Does that mean I can shoot you once? I can't be making holes in my walls. It's a matter of setting up a proper environment. Plus, wouldn't you have to fill up a bunch of paperwork for discharging your weapon, officer? Doesn't that just seem too much of a bother? Meaning in the end he can't stop a bullet, a said bullet. Mr. Montague, you visited the Miller's house last night, did you not? What if I did? Then we have no choice but to label you a suspect in our case. I mean, there's no need to be so worried. This is only a formality. We just need to know what happened last night. That's not too much of an ask. Alright. Seems like the perfect time for my hat that amplifies sound. You could just use a microphone. Speech review. Last night I went to see Peter. You must have already known that, which is why you're here. I visit Peter's house quite often. But I didn't set foot in the storage area yesterday. In his storage area, not this. I'm not even sure what a lot of you are investigating. Just ask Peter if you need confirmation on any of that. To sum up his claims, he knows nothing. Detective Brian. Rescue mission complete. No, you can't call it rescue when it was your fault, Pandy. I know nothing. This is true regarding the case, yet I can't help but take offense to the fact that it sounds as though you belittle my intelligence. I apologize if you found that insulting. But for the good of our newfound relationship, I would suggest you refrain from making false statements. Excuse me, what did you just say? Would you like to become a sacrifice to my brooch, yeah? Probably just another useless piece of staff. I bet Detective Brian figured it out the second he stepped foot in here to start his investigation. The obvious lie in Montague's statement. Well, yeah. But going to the, or not going to the shed. Mr. Montague, you claim to have not gone into the storage shed yesterday, but you went in there, didn't you? Into the shed. How do you know that? Thankfully, he's gonna route of honesty. I was worried about how I was gonna trick him regarding Brian's skill. Did Peter see me? No, that's clearly not the case. As you said, I did step foot in that shed, but it was my destiny as a collector. Put it another way, I stepped in there, but I never laid a hand on the stuff inside. Do you understand? Huh? What are you trying to say exactly? Did you explain to him the circumstances surrounding the case? We did not. He already knew what was going on before we got here. No, he didn't. He thought he knew. Rumors travel fast. Considering the unique circumstances we find ourselves in, that doesn't come as much of a surprise. No, for some reason, I don't think rumors are traveling much at all today. Could it be, is it actually that Mr. Montague has the wrong idea about our case? Now that I'm thinking about it, there's a part of his statement that doesn't make much sense. If he knew what was going on with the case, there's a part of his statement he never would have included. Oh, come on, so we have to prove to ourselves that he doesn't know the guy is dead. Just ask Peter if you need confirmation. Mr. Montague, you said we could figure out some things if we talk to Mr. Miller, right? What exactly do you mean by that? What did I mean? I meant exactly as I said it. Peter will always have my back. Not the easiest statement to stomach given his circumstances. Is it so cowardly to appeal to the affection of a loved one? You still know nothing of this world, my young friend. What bearing is that supposed to have? This has nothing to do with affection. Have you no respect for the deceased? The deceased? Of course. Mr. Montague, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. I'm pretty sure you haven't quite figured out why we're here. Pardon? What are you implying? I'm quite sure you mentioned you were here to investigate Peter's case. That part is correct. However, this case is about the body that was found this morning. This is no matter of petty theft. A body? Whose? Hold on a moment. What's going on? Isn't it a bit late to be surprised about that? No, that's the proper response. It is, after all, Mr. Montague. He's just hearing the news of the murder. What then? What have we been talking about this the whole time? That's the strange part, to think the deceased victim could prove your innocence. That's not to mention the fact that there was no abnormal heartbeat when he talked of his friend. Of course, come to think of it, Mr. Montague hasn't mentioned a body or a corpse single time. Considering his responses, the case he's referring to is a theft, not the murder of a victim. Does that mean that he broke into that shed to commit theft? Excuse me, all this talk of bodies and corpses, was this victim of yours by chance? I'm afraid so. This morning we found body of Peter Miller. No, that can't be true. I had no idea. To think of something like that could have happened. I was sure you were all here because of the stuff I stole. Mr. Montague's mask has been peeled away. It won't be hard to get the truth out of him now. Sorry. My throat feels a bit itchy. Logical. Just as you all suspect, I did steal a piece of Peter's staff collection. His tone of voice has shifted. Probably because he's finally realized the seriousness of the situation. Yes, this bloke's a real personality. Peter said his collection contained pieces with real historical value. He always kept the pieces hidden rather well. But he had a habit of showing off the receipts to let me know how much he'd spent on them. In comparison, my collection is just a bunch of random stuff approved by the Bureau. Thus I began to envy him, and then I did something rather childish. That it was. Last night I snuck into his storage shed. I stole a piece of his collection. Where is that staff now? It's in that safe over there. This one? The fourth piece of staff that was missing from the scene of the crime. If the piece of staff Montague stole is the same one that took the victim's life. No, you shouldn't go around touching things. The combination is... It's open, because she used her ability. Oh! I'm a detective. What she just did is closer to the work of a thief. Did she just use her skill to figure out the combination? I could have done that too, you know, though it would have taken me slightly longer. With all the stuff I have locked in my desk drawer, maybe I should find a new place to store it. Oh, like that nice letter you have in there. Am I too late? What are you trying to pull? The safe's empty. No, that's impossible. I put it there at 1 a.m. I'm sure of it. This can't be. It's really gone. Well, was that another one of his lies? Think for a second. Are you sure you didn't move it and just forget where you put it? I do believe everything up until putting it in the safe at 1 o'clock is the truth. I see. Then there's evidence that the object was in here at 1 a.m. I see. Then that means they picked up the trace that shows the safe was opened at 1. Mr. Montague, are you sure you placed the stolen staff in the safe after you opened it? Pretty sure. Seems like your memory of that is a bit blurry. Then would you mind giving a statement about the theft of the staff and returning home with it? That may jog your memory. Alright, I'll try to remember. Speech review. Last night I went to Peter's house and had a talk with him. Then when Peter got up to relieve himself, I snuck into his storage shed. Since he always leaves the front door open, you can walk straight inside. That's when I stole his notebook, the smallest piece of staff in his collection. There was a notebook there. Did he replace it with a fake one? Since Peter was still away, I told his wife I was leaving and headed straight home. When I went to slip the notebook into the safe, I was rather surprised when a dried flower he was using as a bookmark slipped out. But I put it back where it was and it locked it up in the safe. I wonder if the flower is actually the staff. Maybe the notebook is like just mundane or something. Maybe the flower has all the magic power. I'm sure that's what I did. So why is it in there? Did I say something you found odd? Sarge, this is... Indeed, what exactly is going on here? Mr. Montague, there's a rather large problem we found with your statement. It's just... So there's no lies or anything, or everything is factual. Okay. Stole his notebook, maybe it's because... This... Because the notebook... No, not that one. This one. Yes. The notebook in this picture is the one you stole, yes? Yeah, that's the one. But that's... Well, it seems as though we found the stolen staff. Seriously, where is it? Mr. Montague, this picture, it was taken right before we came here. What? When we checked the victim's storage shed this morning, the notebook was right where you see it in this picture. What? Does this old man know anything at all? I'm not so sure what's going on anymore. All we can tell is he isn't lying. Montague would have no reason to bring charges upon himself. Also, his heartbeat shows that he really has no idea what happened, yet it's true. He stole that piece of staff and he locked it in his safe. No, he couldn't have. It's gone. And there's only one explanation. The staff teleported out of the safe. I was thinking the same thing, Arya, because since the staff was no ordinary object, I wouldn't have surprised if it could teleport. Yeah, because the body, or half of it, had teleported as well. Well then, it seems likely that the Black Notebook skill is teleportation. That's not the only thing we figured out, because it activated its skill. That means its trigger condition was also satisfied. The staff's trigger was somehow set off while it was in the safe. And then we figured out the secrets of one of the pieces of staff. However, there are still at least 2 more pieces left to figure out. If Mr. Montague knows nothing of the skills, then we've... If you wish to know about the staff and the triggers, how about you track down the person who sold them to him? You know the seller? I'm also a bit of a collector. I know the person you'd have to see if you wish to get your hands on unauthorized staff. Of course, I've never dealt with her due to lack of funds. The staff seller is Waring. That Waring? I think we got the name somewhere. Perhaps it's her Peter brought her staff from. Ah, yeah. It was like that. There's some notebook in the desk drawer. Like about some money transfer, big money transfer. It was Zad Waring or something like that, the name. Mr. Montague, would you happen to know where we could find this Waring woman? I do. She has a little shop in a nearby slum. From the outside, it looks like the building is being demolished, but I assure you it's a perfectly normal shop on the inside. Either way, it seems as though we made the right move in coming here. I'll draw you a rough map showing you how to get there. I'm not sure if I'm worthy of saying such a thing, but please, solve this and let Peter rest in peace. We promise we will do our very best. But don't you forget how low you stooped. Of course. Logical. Dartford Road.
この圧迫感、故郷に帰ってきた気分ですね。
This level of pressure, it feels like I've returned home. Is my back seat that bad? No, but if I don't keep such a mindset, I don't think I'll make it to our destination. Is that so? Well, I missed you. Yeah? Then I was constantly grumbling and Brian was way too big. It's just as I thought, you're the only one who really fits back there. That's such an unfathomable honor, I can hardly breathe. Right? Sergeant Detectives Brian and Finna were at the Stafford Training Center at the same time, right? That place, what's it like? Well, it's a facility under the oversight of the Bureau, and it's sort of like a school where you go learn information necessary for life. However, rules are very strictly enforced. Are all staffers required to go? That's right, but once 5 months are up and your Bureau file is completed, you're free to go if you're rated anything lower than cult. However, most students stay for the full 5 years until they graduate. Finishing off the courses, they can help a staffer and prepare for the future in a number of ways. Generally speaking, no one stays there because they wish to, though. Why is that? Most staffers are admitted to the center when they're 9 years old. Living under such a tight rule is difficult on a child. Do they always send children there when they're that young? That's when a staffer's skill begins to properly manifest itself. From the Bureau's perspective, they want to get all of them under the watchful eyes as soon as that happens. And yet you said most of them stay, right? That's because they're children. They're at an age when they have no power to change the direction of their lives. Still, most Stafford children are sent to the center. Right, most. The more I learn about this city, the more I detest it. Actually, if there were as many staffers in my hometown as there are here, out of all the staffers I know, only one went to the center voluntarily, and that's Brian. Of course it's Brian. Why'd he go? Good question, you can ask him, but he never gave us one simple answer. Considering it was Brian, we can at least be sure it wasn't to live life more comfortably. Or maybe it was. Maybe his parents were horrible. Because he had rich parents. That's what we heard. She has a creepy mouth. Thank you for your continued patronage. Thank you for your great service. With so many items I didn't know were staff, it's hard enough getting rid of them all. The thought of the Bureau coming here to take them away was rather frightening and a bit of a waste. Well, if you find any more staff, you know where to bring it. This store is a place for refuge. Hello there! Everybody, hands up. Kya. Everyone, please remain calm. If you don't resist, we won't have any further outbursts. Ah, those are Bureau badges. Let's get out of... Where'd you go? I'll be seeing you. Don't leave me here alone. Zadvering. Yeah, that's a weird name. Threat level unarmed, skill pattern-based coordinate interpretation. Judging from your bureau file, I guess we've come to the right place. So, pattern-based coordinate. So what? She's good at like orienteering or pattern recognition, or I am not quite sure. This looks like your average construction site on the outside, but it looks totally different on the inside. Going as far as to park all that heavy machinery outside, I bet no one waltzes right in here. You really thought things through, huh? It seems as though the woman who ran away was here to sell staff. Would you like me to tell you where she lives? People who do business here all have to give up that information, so how about we settle for reducing my sentence by 3 months per customer? Does this kid have no idea what customer loyalty is? But isn't it a bit unfair to bring only me in when they were half of the transaction? If I'm gonna die, I think it better to go out with company. To say such an awful scummy thing in that whispering introvert voice of hers. That would be nice, but we're not here to bring you in or anyone else for the illegal transactions that have been going on here. Well then, though we will be arresting you on some sort of charge eventually. Still, if you choose to cooperate with us, I believe we might be able to reduce your sentence. Ask away. You say who we bury and I'll hand over the dirt. It's almost funny the trash that spews out of this girl's brain. I wouldn't buy a bean from the likes of you. Miss Waring, Peter Miller is one of your customers, correct? The guy who struck it rich, what'd he do? He died, and it may have been a staff in his collection that killed him. Who are we talking about again? Peter who? Miller is quite a common last name, but you just describe him as the guy who struck it rich. That was just pretending to know who you were talking about. I've never heard the name before. Are you joking? Eee. Let's not resort to violence. That's not what civilized people do. That's a black market trader. What's a black market trader know about what civilized people do? Alright, let's give her a bit of civilized people logical deduction then. How about we show you a piece of evidence that connects you to Peter Miller? Piece of evidence that connects Miss Waring to the victim. Do we have something like that? Yes, we do. Just have to find it. Bedroom. I think it was this one. Oh no, is it? Yeah, here, Zad Waring. Or Zad, whatever. Miss Waring, it's obvious you were acquainted with the victim. Not only acquainted, you had dealings with him as well. I did not, I never met the man. Well then, how did the victim come to have a receipt with your name on it? Excuse me? He said he burned the receipt after I had it restored. More importantly, I believe you just confessed right there, don't you think? Oh, I just remembered I did have some dealings with a man who went by that name. What a timely memory you have there. Miss Waring, we are not investigating this in order to bring punishment down upon you. We are here to ask for your help. You had the first say on the punishment dished out by the Bureau for any criminals we catch in the act. So it is true that we can lighten any sentence that may be brought upon you. Could you please cooperate with us on this? You actually can lower the sentence? At the very least, I promise we do whatever I can to that extent. Please just trust us. Alright, I'll help. Thank you for your cooperation. Good thinking. Well then, you can start by telling us the skills of the staff you sold to the victim. About that, I sort of forgot. Again, is she joking? But the deal I made with that man, it happened over 6 months ago. It's not out of question for me to have forgotten. Actually, it'd be more suspicious if I remembered. And if I said I remembered when I didn't, wouldn't that cause even more issues? You should thank me for being forthright and telling you I don't remember. Can somebody slap her? Do you think our picture of the staff might jog her memory? Alright, here's a picture of the scene. Ah, of course. Did you remember something? Nope. Okay then. Resist the urge. Resist, resist. This time it's really not my fault. They all look different from when I sold them. What do you mean by that? Many of the pieces of staff I sell have a look to them that's quite well known. So to avoid future punishment, their appearances require altering, and I advise my buyers to make the changes. Then it's your fault. Well then, Miss Waring, it seems as though you won't be able to tell us if the staff in the picture is what you sold to the victim. I definitely sold those pieces of staff to him. That's my mark on that statue. Ah, so it's the weird marks are hers. Ah, yeah, those things. By your mark, you mean the red symbol on it. It's a mark left behind by my skill. It only takes a single drop of my blood to trace that out. The lines inside the circle are the route an object traveled. Looking at the direction and thickness of the line, I can tell where it came from. So this is your skill, Miss Waring. Pattern-based coordinate interpretation. Catalyst blood under 1 cm range. Notes the pattern traced out by the line represents object's movements. The length and thickness of the line represents distance object travels. So where it came from, basically. Okay, that's a bit weird, but whatever. Well, before I sell a piece of staff, I have to inquire into the specifics of its skill and trigger. Only then I can make the sale. If you're careful, it isn't at all dangerous. And you don't by any chance have existing records of your sales? You do? Not exactly. I don't keep a record of my sales, but I do keep a record of my purchases. For a purchase about 6 months ago. Here, you can take a look at my notes. Whole grain bank. So is it like a TV and this phone number, the price, so fire phone number, 2 guys. Deposit box 42, okay, clock. Is it like a code? Not that part, just like the list underneath that. These pictures, they are pictures representing the skill of each piece of staff. It's a sort of code that only I can figure out. Though I can't really remember what was going on, or what was otherwise going for. What are these numbers on the side then? Seller's contact information, something I can use to get a hold of them if something's not right. But you write down their phone numbers. The numbers on the right are the prices I decided to sell the pieces of staff for. It's better than nothing, but it's going to be hard to figure out which staff has what skill from just this list. It's like, so does it split you in half? Is this like time minus 7? Does it bring you back 7 hours? Sets you on fire, and this is like, I don't know, you can watch TV. I think the hand and the ball, that's gonna be TV thingy. So is this like the teleportation thing, and that somehow split the guy in half? You didn't write down the trigger side, and I see a few parts that are badly smudged. I would prefer the details of skills spelled out in writing. I figured a detailed record would be used against me if I were to stand in front of a judge, but I won't have the problem if I keep it all here in my noggin, right? If you could actually remember correctly, you'd be right. Well then, there's only one thing left to do. Is that Waring? What? You're gonna be coming with us to the scene of the crime. You can get a good look at the staff and check what sort of skill each carries. What?
見た目が変わっているようですが、
They look
実
different,
際
so
に見れ
maybe
ば
seeing
わか
them
るんでしょうか。
firsthand will give us some different
変わっ
results.
ていたとしても
They may look different, but their original staff form remains in each
そ
somewhere.
うじゃなければ
If they didn't, they wouldn't be staff anymore.
元の形を知ってい
If
る人
someone
が
with
調
some
べ
knowledge of that original form were to take a look, don't you think that person would immediately be able to figure something out?
それはそうですけど
That may be true, but
ちょっと待ってください
wait a
こ
second.
の中にあるステップのせいで死んだ可能
Is
性
it
があるんです
impossible
よ
that
ね
one of the pieces of staff in that room killed Peter Miller? It's too
ステ
dangerous.
ップをちゃんと調
You
査
just
してくれ
said you have to inquire into the details of the staff in order to sell it, and the whole thing is safe if you're careful. Well,
もう少し自分を信
how
じて
about
み
you
てください
put a bit more faith in yourself? I'm sure you're well aware of the triggers of
全部知っている
each
でしょ
piece of staff you saw, so you'll be perfectly fine, right?
多分大
I
丈
guess so.
夫ご協力
Thank you for your cooperation in this matter.
チーム長。
I think the surgeon is a little peeved. You're back.
どうも
Well, hello
モ
there.
ンテギューさんが
Since you're here,
ここにいる
Mr.
という
Montague,
こと
I can only assume.
ええ、
Yes, he just
さっ
told
き
me
私に
everything.
もともと幼稚な
I
人だ
thought
とは
Mr.
知ってい
Montague
ましたが、
rather childish, but honestly, he
はっ
is
きり言って
simply
かなり情け
pathetic.
ないで
Could
す
my
ね。
Peter really have trusted
夫が
such a
こんな
man?
人を信じて済むなら、
If you're going to steal something, you might as well have stolen the whole lot. Couldn't even get away with stealing a notebook.
誠に
I swear,
ご
madam,
面目
I'm
あり
so
ません
ashamed of my actions.
その
And,
ピーター
about
の
what happened
こ
to
とは
Peter.
それで
Yes? Have you found
何か分
anything
かった
out?
ことでもあるんです。
これから調べる
That's
とこ
our
ろ
next
です
step. Finding out what happened.
今
Right
どの
over
場所
there.
で
Fidget, fidget. You should be able to properly investigate these objects in the stage she's in.
心配しないでください
Don't worry about it, we got a protective suit for her, though it was split in half along with the victim.
おいさらに早く
Look
な
at
ったじ
that,
ゃない
she's
か
trembling even faster.
えい
Boo.
何してるんですか？
Abuse of authority, and I like it. Oh, what do you do that for? Whoa, that's
一体どこ
stupendous.
まで速くなるのかな
How fast can she go?
人を人として見て
She's still a human. How can Detective Zeta think such a thing?
ベリンさん倉庫の
Miss
中に
Ferrin,
入
going
って
into
調べる
that
のは
storage
最後
shed
の
and
手段
investigating the items up
こ
close
こ
will
から
be
入
our
念に
last
確認して
result.
ください何
For
か思い
now,
出すこ
just
とはあ
take a
りませ
good
ん
look
か
around her room. Is it bringing back any memories? Huh?
これは
That one? Oh, did you think of something? I did.
もっと近くで見れば
If
わ
I
かる
could
と
get
思
a
います
closer look, I can be sure of it. I'm going in.
危なくないですか
Isn't that dangerous?
私が入ったら
After I go in,
倉庫の
please
ドアを
close the
閉め
door.
てください
Then you will be
そう
safe.
すれば
Or is she gonna use them to escape?
それはダメ
We can't do
あな
that.
たが何をしでかすか
How
わかり
will we
ませ
know
ん
what's
から
going on inside?
申し訳ないですが
I'm sorry, but I must say I'm of the same opinion. Is there no other way? You told me to trust you before.
あなたに信じてもらうのと
You trusting us and us trusting you are two very different
ベ
matters.
リンさん、
Miss Ferring, is there a reason why we should shut the door?
その
If
私
my
の
memory
記
is
憶が
correct,
正しければ
one of the pieces of staff I saw carries the stepping in shadows trigger, so I would like to minimize the amount of light able to enter the
倉庫
room.
に差し込む光を最小限にしたいんです
So it's like teleportation between two shadows or something.
いくらなんでも
Still,
大丈夫じゃないですか？
don't you think you'll be okay for just 1 second?
ちょっと何言ってるのノート
What are you saying,
こいつ
Note?
こう見えても犯罪者だよ
Can you see this girl is a criminal?
何か考えがあるのか
Maybe Note has an idea regarding that.
テナさん、
Detective Thena, you used your skill to guess what was behind the door that time, right?
それはそう
I
だけど
did, but I just
ふ
got a
んわり
vague
としかわか
picture.
らないよ
それぐらいで大丈夫じゃないですか
That should be enough, though,
どう
no?
せこの
After
状
all,
況
as
で何
things
かする人
stand,
に
she
も見えない
certainly
し
doesn't seem like a person about to commit another
も
crime.
しかすると
Perhaps since
監
she
視され
doesn't
ている
know
とは
we're
気づかず
watching,
に
she'll
予想
do
外の行動を
something
す
we
るかも
wouldn't
しれ
have
ない
expected.
君の考えがそうなら仕方ないな。
I can't say I agree with you, but it's certainly better than doing nothing.
私は知らないよ
Still not sure.
大丈夫ですよ
I'm telling you,
Sa-
it'll be
Berin-san,
fine.
入
Alright,
ってくだ
Miss
さい
Fering, head on in.
はい私が
Alright,
入っ
please
たら
close the
ドア
door
を
once
閉め
I'm
てく
in
ださい
there.
Tena さんどうですか
Detective Thena, what's happening in there?
まだ何もして
Nothing
いない
yet.
けど
She's just wandering
ただ
around
部屋をうろついてる
inside.
何しているの
What's going on in there?
あチーム長
Sergeant,
どうしてドアが閉ま
why
っ
is
て
this
るの
door closed?
ベリンさんの頼み
Miss
で
Fering requested we
Demo,
do this. We are
Tena-san
keeping
の
an
好きなだ
eye
け
on
監
her
視し
with
ているので
Detective Thena's
バ
skill.
カみたいなこと言わ
Don't
ない
tell
で
me you did something so idiotic. Pardon? Huh?
ドアを開けなさい
Open the door now. Yes, ma'am. Dun dun dun.
どこ
Where is she?
ベリンはどこにいるの
Where'd Wedding
消
go?
えた。
She disappeared?
ありえない
Can't be serious.
そんな
This
バカ
can't
な
be.
何しているのノート
What are you doing,
分
Note?
かってるでしょ
You can't go in
で
there.
も
But
まだ遅くない
too
かもしれないです
we might not be too
僕
late.
のせいだ
It's my
Brilliant, son.
fault.
Tetra-san.
My fault.
僕を
This
信じて
detective
僕の意
trusted
見
me
に
and
従っ
went
てく
along
れ
with
たの
my
に
idea.
しっかりして
Get a hold of yourself, Note.
本当に
You
死
could
ぬこと
actually
だって
die
あ
in
る
there.
気
Understood?
持ちはわかる
I
が、
understand the
ここは僕
sentiment,
に
but
任せ
let
ろ。
me handle this.
ベリンがどんな方法
No
で
matter
脱
what
出しても
method Vering
その
used to
後は
make her
絶対
escape,
に
she
残
was
ってい
bound to
るは
leave
ず
behind
ブリ
trace.
アンのスキルで倉庫の
Brian,
中を
please
調べ
use
て
your skill to investigate the
そ
room
の後
and
を
see
探
what
し
you
出
can
さなきゃい
find.
けないあなたはその間
Athena, while he does that, you can...
分かった
Alright, will do. Clue time. Clobbering time. New footprints. It's rather obvious, but Vering left a set of
ベリンが
footprints.
消えたという。
Vering's disappearance means that one of the pieces of staff in that room met the right conditions for its trigger. Maybe she's just hiding behind this lectern, pedestal,
で
whatever.
もこの足跡は
Hey!
ステップの前を通り過ぎただけ
Agent
のように
Doberhertz, welcome. Kept checking, but somehow still missed 45 minutes. Not a great deal has happened. We interviewed two witnesses. Both are sort of kooky, but like no great revelation. It looks like the footprints are just passing by the staff. Where was she headed? Okay, thanks for staying. Can use the emotional support, because where's the last clue we have to find? Oh, yeah, I was thinking it's... Okay, not these ones, but these prints, prints on the window.
窓についたこの手
The
の
prints
跡
on the window, they weren't there before, were they?
これは
That's
ベリンの
right,
だ。
those were clearly left
窓
by
に手がつ
Vering.
いたのか。
She touched the window, so maybe she just climbed out of the window.
窓から逃げ出したの
If
な
she
ら
escaped out of the
僕たちの
window,
見逃
we
すはず
wouldn't have missed her.
窓の外にも逃げ出
Outside the
した
window, I don't see any footprints either.
ベリンさんがここに移
She
動し
must
た
have
理由
had a
があるは
reason
ず
for
だ
moving that way.
こ
Are
こ
there
に
no
手が
more
かりは
clues
な
to
いんだ
go
ろう
on?
か
I guess not. Oh, the game wants me to save. How ominous.
どういうことでしょうか
What happened here?
ベリンはどのステッ
She
プに
didn't
も
even
手を触
touch
れてい
any
ま
of
せ
the
んでした
staff in the room.
手を触れたところは
She
窓だ
didn't
けだ
touch
が
anything besides
そ
the
れさえも
window,
た
and
だ触れ
touching
た
it
だ
is
け
all she did.
窓
That
は
window
も
was
ともと開
already
いていた
open, so maybe she... well, yeah, I guess if she climbed, there would be more traces.
直接手を触れなくて
Perhaps it
も
was a
発動する
trigger
ト
that
リガーな
didn't
のか
require touch.
そうじゃないとすれば
But if that's not the case,
ここまでね。
Well, that's it for us. Huh?
レッドウィンズチーム長
Sergeant Redfries, what's the meaning of this? Is the report from Detective Hervanus true? If this is a matter of staff, you just had to dig a bit and move on. So why take such drastic steps?
申し訳ございません。
I'm sorry, I'll take full responsibility for this. Of course you do. I've already contacted officials in the materials division. In 2 hours this will be the case.
ちょっと待ってください
Hold up a second, Chief. To purchase a blemish on a career, useless.
先ほどテナに
So that's the order you gave Thena.
まあ、
Yep,
そう
that settles things.
チーム長
Sergeant, you hold yourself responsible for all this.
心配しない。
Don't worry, at least they won't kill me for this.
そうじゃなくて
That's not what I
どう
meant.
してチーム長
Why
が
are you
責任
taking
を取るんですか
responsibility for this?
これは僕のミスじゃないですか
It was my fault.
そう
Yes, it was your fault. And I'm responsible for all your mistakes. That's what sergeant, being a sergeant means, note. But still,
チーム長
it's not over,
まだ終わっ
sergeant.
ていません
We can still investigate. I know we can.
そういう問題じゃないわ。
That's not the problem, note. We had a black market seller of an unauthorized staff in our custody and we let her get away. Plus, we still don't have a proper lead to go on. We already
それなり
failed.
ステップはステップ後
Unlike staffers, has no emotions or free will we can play
だ
off
から
of.
さらに危険
That's why it's even more dangerous. For the sake of the victim, handing this over to materials is the right call.
ノート
Note, we have no one left to fill us in on this staff.
君は今まで事件で失敗を経
I
験
know
した
you're
ことが
yet to experience failure when it comes to investigating the case, however, failure is inevitable.
チーム長
Sergeant, you gotta trust me. Please give me just a little more
ノ
time.
ート
No, you have no idea what's going to happen next, yet you're asking me to trust you?
信じられないけど
I'm afraid I can't do that.
今私たちが
All we
するべきこと
have left to do is feed the officers from materials as much information as we can to help them
情
apprehend
報を逃
Varing.
走したベリンが行きそうな場
Maybe
所を
they can
予想
predict
してる
where
ね
Varing might run to next.
そういうのは
That
で
could
きるん
happen,
じゃない
right?
今は
After everything, let's not put an end to
さっ
reasoning.
き言われたこととつな
We
がる
must
資
have
料
some
を
sort of information that connects to these statements. I'm sure of it.
今の僕にでき
It's
る
a
こ
time
と
to choose which job am
Serena.
I to proceed with. So, Varing suddenly disappeared from the storage shed. Now, under the orders of the detective chief inspector, the case is to be handed over to materials. What sort of connections can be made between the documents and the statements in the printed transcript? If only I were more capable, Athena complaints can be heard through the spork. Note, we have no one left to fill us on any staff. Maybe they could predict where Varing might run to next. That could happen, right? Maybe there is somebody who could fill us in on the staff, like the customer of Zad Varing. So this woman, she's the one who escaped. Oh, whole grain bank. Deposit box. Maybe she's gonna go there. No, this one. Maybe this one. No. This. Okay, maybe they could predict where Varing might run to next. Or maybe we should agree with her, but it's not they, it's I'm predicting it. Yes, okay.
ベリンさんが行きそうな
A
場所は
place Miss Varing might run to next. I can't say I have zero guesses where that might be.
このメモ
You all remember this sheet we got.
ベリンのメモ
Eric's notes, right?
ここに書かれているのは
They're mostly
ほとん
just
どが
notes about the
ス
staff
テップについて
she
の情報です
bought,
が
but there's this
一つだ
part
け
that
関係のない
doesn't
情
seem
報が書いて
related
あり
to
ま
the
す
rest of
ホ
it.
ールグレイン
Whole grain bank. Deposit box
42
こ
42.
のメモがステップの取引
Considering
情
these
報を
notes
記
are all
録した
about
も
her
のという
dealings
こ
with
とを考
staff,
える
then
と
this bank
多分
might just...
そうね
I think
ベ
you're
リ
onto
ンがお
something
金を
right
保管した金庫
there.
である可能性が高い
That may be where she's stashing her cash.
ベリンさんが突
You
然
have
ど
no
こに
idea
消え
where
たのか
she
は分かりま
disappeared
せん
to,
が
but now that
僕た
she
ちに居場
knows
所が
we're
バ
onto
レた以
her,
上
I doubt she'll
この
stay
町
in
に居
one
続ける
place
は
for
ずはないで
long.
高飛びするためには
She's
あ
gonna
る程
make
度
a
の資
clean
金が必
getaway.
要となる可
If
能
she's
性
gonna
が
make a
高いで
clean
す
getaway, she's gonna need some cash.
もしそうじゃなくても
Even if she
ベリ
doesn't
ン
go
の
there,
情
I
報を
bet
入
the
手する
place
の
will
に
have some
大
clues
きく
that'll
役
help
立
us
つ
understand more about
こ
Varing.
れは
That's
い
a
い手
good
がかり
lead.
テナ聞いている
Tena, did you get all that?
保護
I
観
did.
察チームに連絡するね
I'll call
できるこ
probations.
とは全てやった
Now I've done all I can do. I
うまくいく
hope
といいん
this
だが
turns up something. Case closed. Oh. Manor Affairs Division. 3 days later. Oh no. I'm back.
あノート
Hey, note.
さ
I
っき
just
保管
heard
チー
back
ムの
from
知り合
my
いから聞い
contact
たん
in
だけど
probations
ジ
and
ャドベリン
that variant. I got her.
本当ですか
Seriously? Seriously, the information you gave them was a big help. They wanted to pass on that
よ
thanks.
かったなノート
Good for you, Note. That's more than enough to make up for your slip-up.
本当にそうで
You
しょう
really
か
think so?
課長はまだ
The chief is
ヒステリ
still
ックでした
acting
けど
pretty
元
hysterical.
から管理局
The
が把握
criminal
して
they
なかっ
got
た
was
犯罪者
unknown
だ
to the Bureau. Your
君
chief
のア
was
ドバイスが
crucial
逮
in
捕の
bringing
役に
this
立ち
case to a
捜
close.
査課の評判は
So
回
I'd
復
say
し
the
ただろうし
reputation of the investigation division has been restored.
課長の不満もな
I'd
くな
say
る
the
だろう
chief's complaints
最
will
初から
soon be
自分の
thrown
業
out with the
績以外
dirty
に興味
bathwater.
がない人だから
He's not the sort to show interest in anything other than his own achievements anyway.
それは良かったというか
I guess I should count my blessings, but I do feel rather underwhelmed by all
ベ
this.
リンさんは
So Miss Varing was headed to
そう
jail.
保
That's
管
right.
チームが逮捕したか
Probations
ら
has taken
管
her
理
in.
局が統制する
So
刑
she'll
務所
soon
に
be
送られると思
transported
う
to a prison run by the Bureau,
私たちが
just
捕
like
ま
all
え
the
てきた犯人た
criminals
ち
we
みたいに
watch.
ね
Catch.
そこは一般の刑務所とは
Is the
何が
place
違うんでしょ
different
う
from a regular prison?
そうだな
Well, the criminals don't have
そ
much
こ
to
から出て
say
きた
about the
犯罪者
place
たち
once
は
they're
何も
let
言わないけ
go.
ど
But I
ステッ
imagine a
パー専
prison
用
for
の刑務所
staffers
だか
must
ら
be run a
一
bit
般
more
の刑務所
rigidly
より
than a
は
normal
大変じゃ
prison.
僕はちょっと出てくる
Well, I got an errand to run.
どこに行くんですか
An errand
ミ
where?
ラーの自宅に
Miller
エル
residence.
ミラ
I
ーさ
should
んに
let
知らせてくる
Mrs. L. Miller know what we found
事
out.
物課の捜査は終わったが逮捕者はいない
Materials
そう
has
だ
finished with their
ピータ
investigation,
ー・
but
ミ
they
ラーが
haven't
死んだの
pinned
は
this on
単なる
anyone.
事故ってこ
So it
とだ
seems that Peter Miller's death will be filed as an accident.
つまりこ
In
の事
other
件で
words,
責
only
任を問わ
Zad
れる人
Varing
物は
will
ジ
be
ャド
held
ベリン一人
responsible
だけ
for
と
what
いう
went
こと
on
だ
that day.
ベリンが罪を償うという知らせを聞いたら
I'm hoping
ミラ
that
ー夫
news
人
of
も少
Varing
しは
paying for
慰
the
めにな
crime
る
she
だろう
committed will put Mrs. Miller's mind at ease.
今戻ってきたところなのに
We just
ちょ
got
っと
back,
休ん
so
でか
how
ら行け
about
ば
rest up first?
今
I
日はも
mean,
う
we
事
don't
件も
have
な
any
いし
cases right
いや
now.
今行きた
No,
い
I'm gonna head
ノ
over
ート
there now.
君も行くか
Note, would you like to accompany me?
は
Sure.
い僕も
I'll
行きま
go
す
with you.
そうか
Alright,
じゃあ行こう
let's head out then.
仕事人間め
What do you two
君
think
たち
about
の
this
せいで
work?
私
People
みたい
like
な
you
普
make
通に
normal
働いて
workers
る
like
人
me
が
seem
怠け
lazy.
者に見えるんだから
あの
Detective Ryan, you didn't hear any other
事物課
news
から
from
他に聞いた
Materials
ことはあり
Division,
ません
did
か
you? Nope.
残念だが
Unfortunately, they don't disclose any information about their cases to other divisions. Sorry to
い
say.
えブリアンさんが
It's
謝る
alright,
ことじ
you
ゃあ
have
りません
nothing to apologize for.
早
Let's
く行
get
き
a
ましょう
move
急ご
on.
うエルミ
Right,
ラー
let's
さん
be
のような
going.
憎しみを
Miss
ぶつける
L.
対象が
L.
必
Miller
要
is
だろうが
probably in need of some place to direct all the hate she has stored up.
僕が初めて諦
That
め
was
た
the
事
first
件は
case I gave up
こう
on,
して終
and
わ
that
りを迎えた
that was how it
何
ended.
日か後に
After a bit of a drive, Detective Ryan was able to fill Mrs. Miller in on what we knew.
彼女は家を売り
She sold her house and land and moved to Venice, started a new chapter in her life. Maybe she killed him after all.
アンアームドレベルでもステッパーが出国する
Even
に
for
は
an unarmed
複雑な手
staffer,
続きが
immigrating
必
to
要
a
にな
new
る
country was a complicated
それをブリア
process
ンさん
that
が手伝った
required
そう
a
だ
number of
それで
steps,
エル
but
さんは
Detective
手
Ryan
紙
was was a big help to that end. thus Mrs. Miller ended up writing letters to him.
僕が直接終わ
I
らせる
wasn't
こと
able
は
to
できなか
see
ったが
the case to its end
それだけで
myself, and
事
that's
件を
not
解
the
決する
only
方法
way
じゃない
affairs get settled.
おかげ
Thanks
で
to
エルさんは
Detective Brown's hard
結末
work,
を受け
Mrs.
入れ
Miller was
次
able
に
to
進
reach
むことが
a
できた
satisfactory conclusion to her story.
しかし
Yet, I still had
まだ
questions
僕には
about
あ
the
の事件
case.
の疑
How
問が
was
残って
Miss
いる
Fering able to slip out of that
あの
storage
時被
shed?
害者はど
As
ん
for
な
the
事故にあ
victim,
っ
what
てあんな死に
circumstances
方
led
を
to
したん
such
だ
a
ろうか
gruesome death?
もしあの時
Perhaps if I'd
僕
made
が
a
違う
different
選
choice
択を
that
してい
day.
たら
Ah, okay. Return to the branching path, I guess. So there are some actually
どういうことでしょう
choices in
か
this game. What happened
ベ
here?
リンはどのステッ
The
プに手を
stuff
触れ
in
た
his
ところが
窓だけだが、それさえもただ触れただけ。
so she
直
only
接
touched the
手を
window.
触
I
れな
guess
くて
we
も
read
発
all
動する
this.
トリ
So
ガーなのか。
the interrogate
レッ
Twitch.
ドウィンズチーム長
Yeah, he's complaining. Let's just get to the choice.
ちょっと待ってください課長そうじゃなくてどうしてチーム長が責任を取るんですかこれは僕のミスじゃないですか
All right. So don't use the bank stuff. Maybe it's not the transcript, it's gonna be something else. I think it's probably something with the wife. Who knows if like the wife and the friend were actually conspiring together. Maybe we have to figure out something about these things. Picture of person times 2 notebook. Window. I guess I'm gonna go through all of these, like if these are supposedly clues about the staff. But I'm not sure if this is actually what we need to figure out right now, but it's like... So I'm just thinking, like, are we supposed to... What is this anyways? Ah, okay, this just shows how to use these things. So yeah, is it the wife that we have to figure out, or the Z varying, like something or about these? Staff items. Now, I wonder what's the purpose that these are smudged. Like, so Waring suddenly disappeared from the storage, and now under orders of the detective chief inspector, the case is to be handed over to materials. What sort of connection can be made between the documents and the statement on the printed transcript? So is it that after all? If I only, maybe it's this one. If I were more capable. Like maybe it's not, or maybe she somehow like you know, deceived her or something. We didn't have any like a witness statement with Z Waring. How about the these things? See, okay, hint is just saying that I guess it's given to the bad ending hint. I'm really not sure what the game wants, like, you know, beyond the obvious, which was the bank thingy. We can't click on these. We don't even have the... Wait, we don't even know the wife's... her power, right? Like, what's her staffer power? So clearly there's still something sus with her. Maybe she's not the killer in the end, but it's like... I'm just gonna... Otherwise it's gonna take forever, so let's speed things up with by using the powers of the internet. Because it's gonna take if I try everything else. So case 3. Wait, which this guide is a bit weird. Yeah, okay, we are still alright. So that's how it works. Yes, alright. Save and branching point. Okay, we are here now. So bank name, that's branching point to truth end. So transcript, and I'll be right back. I have to, my son is waking up or something. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back for now. Oh. So we either had to oppose that there was no one there or help us, or we support. We can predict the movement of the person, I guess. So let's see. So yeah. So transcript Waring's note. Oppose Brian. And contact info. Yeah, of course. Yeah, we can call random people, I guess. Okay. Yeah, that now that I think of it makes sense, but it wasn't so obvious before.
ノート、どう？何か思いついた？
Now, what do you think, Note? Any ideas come into mind? None in particular. Indeed. Then we'll let Brian and Thena explain things to the spouse. Note, you can head back with me and... sorry, but do you think I could remain here in Detective Thena's place? There's something I'd like to tell Miss Miller myself.
そう。
Maybe she's one of the...
遅れないようにね。
Like, maybe she bought actually something from Zed, Vedi, Zeli, whatever her name is. Alright, just don't be too late getting back.
よし。
Okay, there's Sergeant heading off then.
ブリアンさん、
Detective Brian.
ん？どうした？
Something the matter?
さっき
Just a moment ago, you said there's no one else who knows about this staff, right? Well, you were wrong in assuming that.
なんだって？
What do you
ベ
mean?
リンさんの領収
On
書に
Miss Swearing's ledger, she wrote the contact information of the sellers who provided that
その
staff,
人た
right?
ちなら自分が売ったステップのスキルを知っている確率が高いです。
You mean this hits closer to home? I'm sort of starting to suspect the wife. I think it's maybe sort of like meta suspicion, but for one, well, like two things, because she left the country, that sounds a bit sus, but you know, it's in the other timeline, and also that we haven't really even gotten her the file on her staff power yet. Sort of like, you know, the game is like is gonna tell us at eventually, I guess. That means she's a suspect. Anyway, on Waring's ledger, she wrote the contact information of the sellers who provided that staff, right? There's a good chance the sellers would know what skills their staff
ベ
had.
リンさんと違って
Unlike Miss Waring, they
他のステップと接
probably
する
aren't
機会も
around
少な
a
いで
lot
しょ
of
うから
other staff, so
もしか
they
する
might
と
know more
ベリンさん
details
より正確に
about
覚えているかも。
specific staff they had.
ノート？君、
Now,
ま
are
さ
you
か。
presuming we
その人たちに接
let's
触し
reach
て
out
ス
to
テ
all
ップ
those
のスキルを
sellers
調
and
べま
find
しょ
out
う。
what skills we're
そし
dealing
て
with?
チーム
Then
長
we
が
can
呪物
solve the
化に事
case
件を引
before
き
the
継ぐ前
sergeant
に
can hand it
僕
over
た
the
ちで解決
materials.
僕は反対だ。
I have no
これ
choice
は
but
課
to
長が決め
disagree
た
with
こ
you
とだ。
there. The
今から
chief's
動いて
already
も無駄
set
に
his
ことを
mind on
大
this.
きく
We'd
する
just
だ
be
けだ。
blowing up this for no
ですか
reason.
ら僕た
That's
ち
why
だ
it's
けで
only
動か
gonna
なけれ
be
ば
the
いけな
two
い
of
です
us working the
も
case.
し失敗してもチ
And
ーム
even
長
if
と
we
テナさん
fail,
は予
Detective
定
Tena
通
and
り呪
Sergeant
物化に引き
Redfins
継ぎ
can
がで
still
きるよう
hand the
に
case over the
ブリア
materials.
ンさん
Please, Detective
ど
Brian.
うか
For me.
おね
い
Uh,
や、
we
それで
really
も今
shouldn't
回は
this
ダメ
time.
だ。
そんな
Man, I was sure
ブ
Detective
リアン
Brian
さ
would
んに
help
頼
me
め
out
ば
if I pleaded
絶
with
対
him.
でやはり
I
ファ
guess
ンのお
this
使
isn't
いをさ
as,
せる
as
みたいに
simple as
簡単にはい
asking
か
him
な
to
いか
buy me a
ちょっ
pastry.
と何事です
What's
か？
going on here?
他
Where'd
の
the
人たち
woman
は
run
ベ
off
ル
to?
さん
Mrs. Miller, I'm
すみ
sorry.
ません
I made a mistake.
僕
Now
の
the
ミスで
case is ground to a
捜査の
standstill.
か
By standstill,
そ
does
れで
that mean
捜
you're
査を
giving
やめ
up
る
on
な
the
んて
case?
心配は無用です。
You need not
ステッ
worry
プを
about
専
that.
門的に
Another
扱う部署
division
が捜査を
specializing
引
in
き継ぎますか
identifying
ら。
staff will be taking over the
捜
case.
査する内容は非
From
公
now
開
on,
とな
all
り
the
ますが、
details surrounding the
でも
case will be kept under wraps,
ちょ
but...
っと待ってください
Wait, kept under wraps?
後悔に
What's
な
that
る
supposed to mean? I won't be able to
それは
find
ど
out
う
how
いう
my
意味ですか
husband died.
そうなりますが、心
That
配し
may
な
be
く
the
ても大丈夫で
case,
す。
but you shouldn't be
もし誰かが
concerned.
意
If
図的に
someone
ご主
murdered
人
your
を殺
husband,
害したの
he
な
or
ら、
she will be
その
punished
も
for
の
their...
そんなの関係あり
That's
ません
hardly what's important here.
昨日まで
The man I shared
寝
the
食を
bed with
共にした夫が
until yesterday is dead.
今日
And you expect me to live my life not knowing what happened to him?
お願いです。
I'm begging you. Please, help me see this through.
ブリアンさん、
Detective Brian, we still have time.
仕方ないな。
I guess you're forcing my hand.
わかりました。
Alright, until the very moment this is handed over the materials, I'll do my best to find out the truth.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you. Perfect. But now, note if you are thinking of reaching all 4 cellars, don't you think we are short on
君
time?
が推理に使う時間が一瞬
Even
だ
if you
として
don't need much time to piece things together, we won't have enough time to visit each
わざ
person.
わざ4人別々に
You
会う
don't
必要
need
はあ
to
りませ
meet
ん
with
よ。
each person individually. Mrs. Miller, could we use your phone? If she's so helpful, does it mean she's not the criminal? Oh, hey. I just noticed Twist chat also has a proper message too. Mason isn't sober. Welcome. I'm so dyslexic I started seeing everything in German. Okay. Sorry, I saw that message, but I sort of assumed it was a bot message because most of my chat messages are some bots. Detective Brian, I'm sorry to rope you into this. Honestly, I was hoping to do this alone.
運転する人が必
You
要だ
need
と
someone to drive. It's perfectly fine, so don't you worry.
前に言っただろ
Like I said
僕
before,
のことは
think of me as a
使いや
handy
すい
tool
道
to
具
be
くらい
used.
に考えたらいいって
Yes, use me as your
い
tool.
え、さすがに
No,
それ
really,
は
I
ちょっと
can't. I can't think of a person, let alone a senior detective, as a
職場の
tool.
せい
Is that so? I thought it a rather good metaphor.
僕にはどこがいい
I'm not sure what's good about it.
ステップというのは
Staff like tools are different from people in that they have no free will, so in a way they're more
味方に
dangerous than
ト
people.
リガーとスキルだけ
But
確
once you
実に
figure
調
out
べ
their
られれば
skills and triggers,
むし
they're
ろ
as
ステッ
easy to
パーに比べ
manage
て
as
管
any
理がし
staffer.
やすい
They can
僕
even
たちは
turn out
そ
to
う
be as useful as
か
us
つ世の
porks.
中に道具
There
に
isn't the
頼らず
person
に
who
生き
walks
て
this
いる人
earth
は
who doesn't make use of some
意志
tool
の理
or
性の
another.
ない存在は扱い
Without
やす
will
く
or reason,
それ
they're
は同
easy
じ
to
結
put
果
to
をもたら
use,
して
and
く
the
れる
results always turn out the same.
それに比べて人は
With people, on the other hand, the
違う
answers
答えを
always
出す
change. They shift based on
経験に
experience,
よ
mood,
って
and
気
agenda,
分によって
making it so hard to trust
経験によ
people.
って
That goes for families and lovers as well.
誰かを
Note,
完
it
全
may
に
be
信じる
impossible
こ
to
とは
fully
不可
put
能
your
かもしれ
faith in another
だ
human.
が
However,
この世に一人くらい
having
は
one person in
僕
this
みたいな
world
人
is
間がいて
like
も
me
い
is a
いだろう
blessing, someone you
誰
don't
にも
hesitate to
心
ask a
を込めて
favor
何
to.
かを頼める
I want to be
そん
that
な人が
person for you. Sounds a bit gay. In a
ブリア
word,
ンさんは
you want to be the
信頼される人
you
にな
want
り
to
たい
be
んですか
trustworthy, isn't that right, Detective Brian?
そうだなそうとも
Indeed,
言え
you
るだ
could
ろ
put it like that.
僕はもちろ
I
んブリアン
definitely
さんを
trust
信
you,
じてい
but
ますが
that's not because I view
それ
you
は
like a
そう
tool.
か
Alright
それが
then,
本当
I
だ
just
と
hope
いい
you
な
mean that.
ブリアンさん
I told you before, you remember, Detective. Sometimes you don't make a whole lot of sense. Sometimes you're far too abstract, sometimes it feels like idle chatter. Honestly, it feels like a bit like a suspect making excuses. It doesn't suit you.
悪いが
I
その言葉は
apologize,
そっ
but
く
I'm
りそ
going
の
to
ま
have
ま
to
君
turn
に
that
提
around
出
and
した
say
い
it applies to you as well. Huh?
ノート
Note,
どうして
why
こん
take
な
on
に
such a
極端な
difficult
操作を
case
す
as
る
this? We've already
ここ
come
ま
this
で来た
far,
以上
so
文句を言
I
う
don't
つも
want to
りはないが
complain, but you
普段
wouldn't
の君なら
normally
こ
be
んなこ
doing
とは
this.
しない
それは
Well, that's because
あ
we're
いつの
already
間にか
here.
到着しました
Let's
ね
hurry.
時
We
間
don't
があ
have
まりない
much time. Hmm.
答えを
So that's
先
how
送
that
りにさ
feels.
れるとこんな気分になるのか
Calling people is expensive, Yeah, super expensive, especially like, if you live in a fancy manor, it's very helpful that she allows us to go. Hey,
あら、
we've
いきな
seen
り呼びつけたくせに随分と早いお出ましね。
Miss A. Arco. You're the people who called, right? You sure got here fast. Huh?
こ
Aren't
こで
you?
ステップを取引し
You
た
all
んでしょ
deal in staff here, correct?
同じ。
Sir.
あ、さっき
Yeah,
押
me.
しかけ
Aren't
てき
you
たマフィア
mafiosos
の
who
方
rolled
々です
in
よ
here
ね。
earlier?
この人はさっき
That
ブレイン
woman,
と話
she's
し
the
てい
one
た人
Bering was talking to
そし
before,
てあ
and
の
that
人
one.
その
Mr. C, nice to make your acquaintance. I'm the man who called. 3 people. Fortunately for us, they all came. Following the orders of a man you never met, the Bureau's infamy comes in handy at times like this. Unfortunately, we couldn't call in the last person whose number was smudged. We can only hope that one of these 3 sold the staff that did a number on a victim. So if the Bureau's calling us up and asking us to come here, are we under arrest? I apologize, but I have work that needs to be done, so I can't be hung up here too long. No need to worry about that. Well then, shall we get straight to the reason we called? About 6 months ago, each one of you sold a piece of staff to Miss Z wearing. For time's sake, let's call you Miss A, Miss B, and Miss C. Oh, Mr. C, sorry. I know quite a few unpleasant words that start with C. Could I have a different letter? Can't. Okay, that's like a, a raccoon, but get rid of the ra. What other words that start with a C that are not so pleasant? Cock. Yeah, okay, let's move on. He's in the middle of an explanation. We're in need of some information regarding the staff you sold here. That's why we gathered in the 3 of you here. I only ask that you give us 10 minutes of your time and cooperation. We're not gonna arrest you. If you promise not to make any more illegal transactions, we'll turn a blind eye to this. Note. I think you're taking this a bit. Please, Detective Brian, for Miss Miller's sake. You leave me no choice. Of course, we really can't turn a blind eye to this, but saying that should help us out. Since this will be a big help to us, I guess I should help them get off just a fine though. Get off with a fine, just a fine though, okay. If what you say is true, I guess I have no reason to object. What do the rest of you think? I don't think it'll be too hard to help them out. Plus, I owe the gentleman in the green a debt of gratitude. I mean, great. Then would you all start by having a look at this picture? Can you identify any of the items in this picture as the stuff you sold? See as in see you next Tuesday. I still don't understand. Like, I've heard that expression before, but I still, like, I have a idea what it refers to, but I still don't understand, like, the okay, now I understand. Yeah, C-U-N-C. Okay. I got it. Thank you. It's been a few years since I first heard it. Okay, I was thinking it's something like more complicated. Okay. Nope, mine's not there. Mine's not either. I don't see what I sold. It seems as though the part Waring said about changing the form of the staff was true. However, as the sergeant said, even though the victim changed the look of it, the true form of the staff has to be there somewhere. If you want to figure out who sold which piece of staff, we should start by hearing what sort of staff each person sold. Note, whose explanation would you like to hear first? Speech select. I don't know, let's listen to Miss B. You two arrested Miss Waring, didn't you? Where is she now? Well, we're not too sure about that. Oh, did you already toss her out to sea? As you must know now, we aren't members of the Mafia, we're detectives from the Bureau. Yeah, I know that. Is that how the public views us in the Bureau? I shouldn't be surprised. Well then, Miss B, would you care to describe the staff you sold? Sure, you can count on me. The staff I sold was a yellow rubber ball. Ah, okay, it's the hand thingy, I guess. It was rolling around the storage area of my department store for a while, but then a mouse that was playing with it suddenly caught fire. The top part of its body was burned to ashes, so it was as dead as a doornail when we found it. Poor thing. The store manager told me to throw the ball out since it was dangerous, but I sold it here instead. So yeah, obviously it's the memo, you know, this fire thingy. Miss Fering said its trigger had to do with stepping in shadows. Ah. Yeah, she mentioned that. That's all I know. You sold quite a dangerous item. It seems that the victim's protective clothing was to protect against that one. From what you said, I gather you work at the department store, right? That's right, it's about 3 blocks that way. You should stop by sometime. We got a promotion going on where any non-staffer customer can get a 5% discount. From the sound of your event, it sounds like staffers aren't too welcome there. No, quite the opposite actually. We are well known for being open to staffers of any level. That's why we get so few non-staffer customers. That's the promotion. Aren't the staffers your main customers from the sound of it angry about the promotion? No, they understand. Actually, some of them suggested we raise the discount to 10%. I mean, staffers are all quite used to discrimination they face. I doubt that would get much of a reaction from them. I see. Ours is the best department store in the whole borough. We are especially well known for the black tea we carry. Maybe I should pick up a box on my way back. Since I played loose with the rules back there, it could serve as apology. Sounds like quite a stable job you have. So what's the reason for all these illegal sales you're doing? If your luck turns bad, you might find more than a fine waiting for you. Oh my, you've got quite the wrong idea. Miss Waring said that sellers aren't punished. That's not correct. Both parties in an illegal staff transaction are brought to justice. Unfortunately, it seems as though Waring tricked you. Well then, I don't feel bad for her sinking into the depths of the ocean anymore. We didn't throw her into the ocean. Then please do. Trust me when I say we won't. Alright, I had no idea we'd meet again under such circumstances. The papers you gave me turned out to be great help. Do you know how long it's been since I legally set foot in a pub? I'm glad to hear that, but in truth I can't say I'm happy to be meeting you like this. About that, when I first got to London 6 months ago, I didn't have a pot to piss in. I'd been carrying around that staff like a talisman for some time, but when Waring told me her price, I sold it in a heartbeat. No, it's like a talisman. I later found out it was illegal and oh, did my heart skip a beat. You see, we have very little staff where I'm from, so there aren't any rules to regulate it. Same goes for where I'm from, bad luck. That's what I said, though it's my fault for not looking into it beforehand. So what sort of staff was it exactly? Review. How can I explain this? Let's do a save. Every now and then it's nice to save. I got it from an acquaintance, so I'm not sure about the skill exactly. But from the look of it, you'd think it was just a finely crafted musical box. Okay, the phonograph. You know, the ones that play a tune when you open them. But since it was a staff, you started seeing stuff when you opened it that the music played. Okay, so it's the TV thing. It was this vision of a man, but since he wasn't real, I never figured him to be dangerous at all. That's pretty much all I remember. That's plenty. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you, your friend here is basically threatening me. That feels like a low blow. Still, knowing that I helped you, sir, puts my mind at ease. Until you rang, I forgot I even sold this staff. If my girlfriend finds out about this, she'll surely break up with me. So I was busy thinking up a way to cover up this mess. Thankfully, I won't have to worry about that anymore. And it seems you were aware that the traffic in unauthorized staff is illegal. I was, but I also had some financial trouble 6 months ago. I wanted to buy my girlfriend a present, but I didn't have enough to cover it. And so you decided to turn to the black market. I thought the woman you're in a relationship would approve. In hindsight, I can see I was a bit daft, but love sometimes makes a man act a fool. Back then, being the only man for her was more important than life itself. At that time, she was dating at least 3 other men besides me. That's all quite riveting, but could you describe the staff now? Right, sorry, let me tell you about it. Okay, so what is it? The staff I sold was a flower. Okay, that's the flower in the notebook. It wasn't living though. It was dried and pressed. I didn't even use it myself, so I can't tell you exactly what its skill was. It was my grandfather's, and as he put it, if you plucked off one of its petals, it would divide you in half. Considering the fact that he plucked off a petal himself, I'm sure he was right. That's all I know. Sorry if that wasn't much of a help. No, that was actually quite helpful. It divides your body in two. To be able to speak that bluntly about it is quite odd he forgot about it. However, so how does it, I guess it doesn't always like divide you in half by splitting you, you know, like killing you. That's all from our sellers. Yep, now we got a picture to figure out who said figure, not picture. Now we gotta figure out who sold which piece of staff. As the Sard said, if you completely change the staff, the object will lose skills. In other words, it's quite likely that our victim added other parts or decorations to the staff while keeping its original form. It'd be nice if we could tell them all apart just by looking at them. But without knowing how the victim altered each one, that will be no easy task. In that case, we may need to use other information we collected besides just a photo in the storage shed. Well, then I should take a look at all the documents I have. Okay, let's get to it. I got to match the statement of the seller to a clue to make my connection. Right, Miss A, musical box. No? Maybe I'm just jumping ahead, but what if the mourning widow was the collector? And the person who died knew nothing about the staff. The woman was the collector and the husband was it, but we have like the husband's friend, the other collector, who at least, you know, implied that the dead guy was a collector as well, but maybe. Okay, how about this? No. So wait, well, let's go see what does the game want from me now. They only have to meet people. Okay, so there's no clue at all. Fine, let's try somebody else. Miss B. So it's a yellow rubber ball. So are we supposed to compare the powers or the objects themselves? Okay. Detective Brian, do you think this could be... certainly seems like what she described. Let's ask Miss B to confirm it. You'd better not lead her on with your suspicions, though. Suspects tend to give the answer the detective is looking for, so there's a possibility she could make a wrong assumption from a vague memory. Miss B. Yes? If it's alright with you, could you take a closer look at this photo? I'd like you to confirm that the staff you saw is actually pictured. Pardon? I guess I could. After all, it's not that hard to have one more look. But I don't think it'll be much use. I just told you, I saw that yellow rubber ball. There wasn't anything like that in the picture. You know, that might not be true. You might have just gotten the impression that it wasn't rubber. Again, pardon? What do you mean by that? As you know now, it's illegal to unauthorized staff. To put it another way, the person who bought the rubber ball probably wanted to make it look like something else. With that in mind, please have another look at the picture. Okay, right here, the sphere held by the sculpture of hand. It looks sort of like that rubber ball. Perfect. With that weird drawing on it, I couldn't make it out at first, but on closer inspection, it's the same color and texture as the one I sold. That marking was left by Miss Waring's skill. Now that I'm thinking about it, the marking shows where the original piece of staff is. Miss B confirmed that the ball with the marking on it was hers. That serves as evidence that it's staff. I mean, if you told me it was going to look different, I could have told you that from the very start. Did we leave that part out? We did. That's because we needed to explain it quickly. Note, your mind works as a bit quicker, so you tend to get ahead of most conversations. You could just say it was a mistake. You don't have to package it like that. Again, overestimating my abilities. Great, now we just need to figure out the remaining two staff from the statements. Okay. So, music box. Oh. Wait. Now we can't look at the photo anymore. Okay. Could it be this then? But no, I guess we sort of can see the number. I don't really understand. Why can't we just... Yeah. Fine, let's get Mr. C. Mr. See you next Tuesday. Phone book will not help. Yeah, it seems so. So... flower. Okay. Need to point out the items in their disguised form. but like the it's like why was the picture taken away? Like why can't we use it anymore? Wait, Mr. Monja. Dried flower. Okay, this one. So yeah, there was a dried flower bookmark. Yes. Mr. C, would you happen to remember the type of flower you sold? I seem to remember it being a forget-me-not. It was small and blue. What's certain is that we can't see Mr. C's flower in this picture. Right, dried flowers are pretty small to begin with. It could be tucked away somewhere. If our luck is bad enough, we may never find it just by looking. You're right, but thankfully Lady Luck is smiling down on us. Did you forget, Detective Brian? We heard about a dried flower once before. Montague said something about one in his statement. It's good that Detective Brian never strays far from the point. A little boring, but very good for the situation we find ourselves in. Mr. Montague tried to steal the notebook and hide it away in his safe. According to him, that was when a bookmark fell out of it. And he said that the bookmark that fell out was a dried flower. No wonder I didn't see it in the picture. The staff I saw was tucked away between the pages of that notebook. You said a blue flower, right? I have to check with Mr. Montague just to be sure, but I doubt another flower would be hidden away in a storage shed. I guess we can say we found Mr. C's staff then. And just to confirm, he said that the flower skill was a dividing person in two. And the picture in various notes meant... Okay, now we just need to figure out the remaining one staff from the statements. Okay, is there somebody else mentioned in the phonograph? Phonograph a gap. Okay. I guess it's probably... Oh, what? Oh. Why this one? Why did I have to... That makes no fucking sense. Why can't I just use the normal photo and that's very arbitrary in my honest opinion. Anyways, I got it at least. I found it, Miss A's staff. Oh, is that so? Where is it? The victim storage shed, of course. You can't see it in this photo. I told you before, it wasn't in the photo. No, it is, right here, on the right. The right, then the phonograph. No, sir, I just told you, the staff I sold was a musical box. Of course, we are well aware. What Note's trying to say is that this phonograph was built around the musical box. Built around it? Then it's just for camouflage? Right, the bottom part of the phonograph is much like a musical box. It's even got a handle. It's quite easy to see how it might work. But no, it's hard to tell just from the picture. How about with this one? The black and white photo. Because the hang print is there. It's a record of the trace evidence Detective Brian was able to collect. I can say that much. Of course, you can see it right there on the photograph. There's a gap. Thinking back of it, it was sort of like the lid of a box. Exactly, and the handprint on top isn't where you'd expect it if you were putting on a record. Instead, it looks like the handprint you'd leave behind if you were opening it up. Now that you say it, the space looks big enough for my musical box. Looks like a lot different from the item I sold, but just maybe. I'm sure that's the same color my musical box. With that we can say for certain they are one and the same. Now we matched all the 3 staff with the sellers. Try to make sure we're on the same page. Let's do a save. Certain. Miss A staff was a musical box that is now the phonograph is trigger. Oh damn it, I accidentally clicked. Its trigger is being opened and its skill seems to be something about visions. Mr. B's staff is the yellow ball in the sculpture. Its trigger is stepping in shadow and it seems to burn whatever enters the shadow. And Mr. C's staff is a dried flower stuck inside the notebook. The trigger is plucking one of its petals, though we can't know exactly what this skill entails. It apparently divides your body in twain. Hey, since we told you what you needed, could we leave now? My break time is almost up. Sorry, but that goes for me too. I got things to do. I can't be hanging around. Alright, you can go. Thank you for your cooperation. No reason to thank me. We're helping each other out here. Hope you solve whatever case you're currently investigating. And also, I will tell you... Will you tell us if you find Miss Waring? Why, you decided to throw her out of the sea yourself? Come now, I'd never... Note, are you sure we should be sending them off like that? Yes, they told us everything they know. After all... Sorry to interrupt. Mr. C, you can head along now, okay? Yes, I was just about to, but there's something concerning me. You mentioned that Miss Waring left behind some notes, right? Is that where she wrote out our phone numbers? Yes, and? Again, my apologies, but could you perhaps burn that note? Not that I don't trust the fine detectives, however, I wouldn't feel right leaving behind evidence. Do you understand? It's my turn to apologize because I can't do that. We may need this note again during our investigation. However, I'll be sure to burn it once we're done. You have no need to be concerned. If you're gonna burn it, why not get it over and burn it now, or just burn the part with my phone number? I can't do that, sorry. Note. What? Hand it over. The memo, please. Let's make this easy on ourselves. It's good enough. Well, we have a spark, so we can fight him. In fact, it's you who's chosen to make this hard on everyone. Please just trust us and take a step back. I'll trust you once you hand over the paper. What should I do? If I had known this was gonna happen, Detective Thena with her experience in probations and her gun was the clear choice. I'll get rid of the paper. I don't have a lighter though. I'll just rip this part off. No, you gotta burn it. If you're gonna do that, just give it to me. No, don't take another step closer to him. He's dangerous. Damn, what am I supposed to do? Use your superpowers of farting or something. Detective Brian, get out of here. Seems like you haven't handled many situations like this before. Aren't we from New Mexico where it's really tough and stuff? Unfortunately, it's as he says, Note. You can't turn and run from a person holding the knife. It's too dangerous. I'll do what I can do with him. You run. I can't leave you alone to... Note, this is no time to argue. But... Not Rick. Please, for once in your life, listen. If I thought you could help by staying here, I wouldn't be telling you to run. Do you remember our conversation in the car? Just this one. Trust me. Where do you think you're going? I hope, what's his name, Brian shoves the knife up the guy's ass. When I was young, a neighbor who always used to visit me was sent to the Stafford training center. I knew it
その
wasn't
子
his
自身の
choice.
希望じゃないことそこに行きたが
No
る
child would want to go there.
マナの放出が
They
確認
confirmed
され
his
た
mana
ことで
release and
ステ
awakening
ッパー
staff
として
skill
の
when he
成
was
績
9
9
years
歳
old,
になるその子の親は
which is when they
拒否できない
recommended
勧告を
moving him to the center, a recommendation his
子供を
parents
訓
couldn't
練施設に
refuse.
もしくは
Make him an offer he don't refuse. Though they could always toss him out with the garbage before then.
それが一般的な社会の風
That
潮
was and is normal sentiment in our society.
しかし
However, the
世の中で
world
は一
isn't
般的
only
な人
filled
々
with
が
normal
いる
people.
わけたとえ後ろ指を
There are
させて
some who wish for their children to be part of society, even after society puts a label on them.
僕の両親は
I'm not sure if my parents were that sort of people. But for an 8-year-old me, it didn't really matter what sort of people they
た
might
とえ
be.
彼らが僕
I
に
realized
注い
that
でくれる
even
愛
if the
情が本物だ
affection they
として
poured out for
僕
me
は
was
そのありの
genuine,
まま
I
を受け
couldn't
止め
take
ら
it
れ
as a
ない
given anymore.
母と出かける日
On
に
days when I went to
一緒に
town
誰
with
か
my
に
mother,
好
I
き
can
な
remember
その
not
手を
letting
離
go
し
of
て
the hem of her dress for a single moment.
毎晩眠りにつ
Before
いて
going to the bed every night, I
もし親
planned
に捨
out
て
what
ら
I
れ
would
た
do
ら
if
どう
my
いう行為
parents
をして
kicked
い
me
た
to
か
the
その
curb
後
like that.
9歳の誕生日
Then
1
one
ヶ月
month
後に聞
before
か
my
れた
ninth birthday,
僕は
I told my
親
parents I
に訓
wanted
練
to be
施
sent
設
to
に
the
入り
training
たいと
center
万が一でも捨
to
てられる
eliminate
可
even
能
the
性を隠
slightest
す
chance
た
of
め
being thrown out like that.
僕が先に
I decided I was
自
gonna
分
sell
自身
myself
を守っ
first.
たんだおとなしく
Please
していてく
just
ださ
stay
い
calm. Ugh.
どうして膝が弱
How'd
い
you know my knee has problems?
左の膝に
I
だ
can
け
see the
さすった
trace
跡
of your
が多いですね
massaging your left knee. It gets
夜によ
especially
く
bad
気
at
づきま
night,
せん
doesn't
で
it?
した
Ugh. You're a
ステッパ
staffer.
ーなんですか相手を
I
間違え
picked
た
up
み
the
たい
wrong
です
guy to leave at, of course.
あなたの同僚が振り
I
返
see
ら
why
ずに
your
逃げた
colleague
理
didn't
由
look
があった
back
んで
when
す
you
ね
told him to run. He's a normie, isn't
あ
he?
それじゃあ置いて逃
I
げる
guess that's
当
why
然で
he
すね
left you for dead.
ノートリックはそう
That thought never would have crossed Notric's mind. After all, I was the one who
も
told
と
him
も
to
とし
run.
かし
But even with an accusation so low, it was enough for me
僕は
to
思わず疑い
cast
を
doubt
抱
on
い
him.
てし
In
まう
fact, I'm pretty sure Notric was
実は
worried
ノー
about
トリック
getting in
僕
my
は
way.
そう
It would
ノー
have
トリ
been
ックが
nice
実
if
際
he
に
had
そう言っ
said
て
that
くれ
though.
ノートリックが僕を尊敬
Whenever
する
Notric
言葉を
says
口
anything
に
out
する
of
とき
respect for me, I can't help but
申し
feel
訳な
sorry.
誰かが僕のために努力してくれる
No matter how hard he tries or how
僕は
many
それを
times he
純粋な
tells me, I
恋と
can't
して
accept
受け
it
止め
as
ることが
genuine
できない
kindness. I always come to the conclusion that there's some sort of calculated maneuver behind what he says.
使いやすい道具
I
くらい
really
に
do
考え
wish
て
he'd view me as a handy tool to wield,
素敵
an
な絵を
object he
描
could
く
simply throw
簡
away in
単
the
に
end
捨てら
without
れる
feeling guilty,
そんなもの
something
として
everyone can trust.
僕自身は
Because I
誰
can't
も
trust
信
anyone.
じられないから
The truth is out there, trust no one. Still, because of what happened, in the future Notric will...
ブリアンさん
Detective Brian. Hmm?
うわー
Whoa. Oh yeah, he can operate heavy
ブ
machinery.
リアンさん
Detective Brian, are you okay?
の
No,
うわ
Ah yeah, because there's construction yard outside. It was mentioned out like earlier outside this place.
ノート
Note, what are you?
無事だったんですね
You're safe
こ
now.
こからは
Leave everything to me.
一体
What on earth?
何をするんだ
No, seriously, what are you doing? This place is disguised to be a construction site, yeah? The perfect things just happen to be parked outside.
それは
I mean, if you knew that, it's fine. I know how to operate it. You know, I got the license.
それは知ってい
License?
るが
True friendship, yeah. Between a man and a digger. Alright, I do know that, but
それよりもブリアンさん
anyway, detective, this was my plan.
とりあえず
Use the dust and the
土
grime
ぼこ
to
りに紛れ
hide
て建
while I
物の
made my
外に
way
向か
out
って
of
くださ
the
い
building.
そうする
Find
と
you based on the
相手は
sounds
音
made
を
by
頼
your
りにブリアン
opponent
さん
and
を
then
すでに制圧
already
した
had him beat. Oh,
それじゃあ
well then,
僕
should I
降り
lower
ま
the
しょうか
bucket?
そうした方が
I would
いいだろ
appreciate
う
that.
な
ノート
Serious
今そちらに
game.
向かってる
No,
10分後に
I'm
到着
heading
す
your
るか
way
ら
now.
下
I'll
手
be
に
there
動
in
かないで
10, so no need to rush your
も
plan.
うちょっと待ってて今
Hold
ト
on
ラ
a
ックから
bit
ライ
longer.
フル出した
I
から
got the rifle out of
私
the
に
boot.
任せて
Leave this to
あ
me.
の
Yeah,
そ
Detective Brian's
ブリ
already
アンさんが
subdued the
制圧
subject.
それじゃあこれは
Suspect.
またしまった方がいいか
Then
な
should I put this thing
そ
away?
れが良さそうです
You should. It's probably for the best.
2人とも
Good.
そこ
Well
で待
then,
っていて
you two just wait for
一
us.
体どんな報告
We'll
をす
see
るの
what
か
you have to report. In
楽
fact,
しみ
I'm looking forward to
は
it.
い
Yeah,
気を
drive
つけて
safe
生き
and
ててくだ
slow.
さい
チーム長にまで連
You
絡した
called
のか
Sarge? I did, just in case. You
壁を
think I'll
壊
get
した
in
の
trouble for breaking down the
問題
wall?
まあ
Well, since the owner of the building has gone missing, I don't think it'll be a problem.
今日はミスの連続で
Just
すね
making mistake after mistake
後
today.
先考えずにこんな
It's not like you to act without thinking through the consequences like
いえ
this.
ちゃん
No,
と考
I
えま
thought
したよ
it through well
さっ
enough.
きの状況で
If I
は
had jumped into
僕
the
が
fray
悪口で
back
加
there
勢してれば
unarmed, I
むしろ
probably
足手
would
ま
have
といだっ
just
たでしょう
gotten in your way.
それで
That's why I
周りの
decided
も
to
のを
use
使う
what
ことに
was
したんです
nearby. It was a judgment
今の状
call
況で
of
僕が
all
できることの
available
うち
options
こ
was
れが
most
一番
likely
勝つ
to
かが
work.
とりあえず
I
重
figured
機の
that
壁を
at the
突き
very
破って
least
きたら
breaking down the wall
大
would
抵
scare
は
him
怖が
off.
って逃げるもので
And
す
if
し
not,
そうじゃなかったとしても
sorry, the
その
truth
た
is
だ
I just
ブ
couldn't
リアン
trust
さ
you,
んを信じら
detective.
れなかったんだと思います ブ
What?
リアンさんは
You told me to leave it
自
to
分
you,
が
but
どう
I
にか
was
するとおっ
nervous
しゃい
and
ましたが
I couldn't do
不安で
nothing.
助けるために
I
来たと
told
言い
you
ま
I
した
came
が
back to save you, but in
実は
truth, I was afraid. I
た
was
だ
afraid I
僕
might
が怖かっ
lose
た
you.
だけです
Bromance.
何度も言いますが
I know I keep saying
ブリア
this,
ンさん
but you
はいつも
overestimate
僕
me.
ブリアンさん
Detective, you must be
まさか
joking.
僕のバカ
I
み
never
たいな
thought I'd
姿
see
を
part of my
君を通して見ることになる
foolish self on that face of yours.
君はいつも
That's what you always do, make my lack of belief turn to complete
ノー
trust.
ト
Note, thank you for coming back to save me.
相手を
I picked the wrong guys to rush at,
間違えましたよ
seriously.
本当に
とりあえず
First
二人とも
off,
無事
it
に
seems like the two of you are safe and sound.
え
Indeed, relief among misfortunes.
一体何があって
Why is there an excavator bucket sticking out of the
こ
wall?
れが暴走
Here's
した
her
犯罪
attacking
者
cellar, I see.
それで
So, what brings you here?
面目ありません
I'm ashamed to say we reached out to the people who sold the staff to inquire about the skills they carry.
僕がやろうと言いました
I told him to do it. I dragged him along against his will.
反対するブリアンさ
He
ん
refused, but I
手
pleaded
伝
with
って
him.
ほしいと
And you
頼
know,
み込みました
he can't refuse a request.
間違ってる
Well,
よ
you're
ね
not wrong. Oh. What happened?
ノート
Note.
ちょろいと思ったでしょ
You found it easy, didn't you? Did I skip and cutscene or something?
やめろ
Stop
最
that.
終
It
的
was
には
my
僕
call in the
分
end.
かってる
I know that
結局悪いのはあんただってことは
you're the one wrong
バカ
here.
みたいに言われ
When
た
you
通
got a
りにする
person
やつ
who
がい
will
るのに
literally do anything you say,
利用
you'd
し
be an
ない方が
odd
お
duck
かし
not
い
to use him.
でもね
But
ノー
note,
ト
you, especially you, I wanted you to be the odd duck.
乱暴なことして
Sorry,
ご
I
めん
pushed you.
ブリアン
Brian,
デ
wait
バ
in
と
the
一緒
car
に
with
車で待機しなさい
Gage.
処罰は戻ってから決めるから
Wait in the car with what is Gage? Wait in the car with then I'll figure out what your punishment is after I'm through here. All right. You want to hear something funny? It's an emote. Aha. I'm too much of a boomer to know these things probably. I was thinking of starting off our conversation with a good slap to the face, but Thina beat me to it. In the end, words are more deadly than fists anyway.
ここに来ることを
When I decided to come this way, Detective Brian following me was already part of the equation. He really is like a handy tool, ready to be used whenever. But I feel like garbage. Note, you talk as though you aren't already walking filth. Why'd you tell me about the... Why didn't you tell me about the lead we had contacting the sellers? Is this placed correctly for me? Maybe not for you. Okay, let's see in the browser. Yeah, no, it's not displayed correctly for me. It just says Gauge. Doesn't work for me. Oh well. Because my risk of failure is so high, I was sure you'd shoot my idea down. Note, when I'm on a case, I think of Brian as a tool too. What? Not just Brian, but you, Thena. Even I'm a tool, not a person. Trust, affection, emotion, none of those can be turned into logic. The thought of losing one relationship is enough to send you down a path of no return. This is just a theory of mine, but you can't mix people and reason. Filter all of those out. After all, only logic should remain. Take you, for instance, note. You should have convinced me to come with you. You should have confronted my own logic, smashed the stubbornness holding it up.
そうだ
Of course, I know what sort of person the sergeant is. I know, but still,
どうして僕は
why do I hide coming here from the sergeant? Come on, don't we have a case to solve instead of, being emo and
怖かっ
stuff?
たんだろう
What exactly was I afraid
反
of?
省はここまで
That's enough time for
今から
self-reflection.
本
Back
題
to
に入
business.
りましょう
Exactly.
成果は
Note, did you find anything? I did.
ありました被害者の命を奪ったステ
I
ップ
found
が
about the staff that
何かわか
took
りました
our victim's life.
おー
Oh, then let's be off. We're running out of time. Detective Thinner. Note, I heard the other one who broke down the wall with an excavator. You're no odd duck. You're insane. As expected, I have an eye for people.
こんなことで
I had no idea that part would put an end to her anger. Sarge, just as Thinner says, we're running out of time. How about we give our report while we drive? It'll take us about 15 minutes to return to the scene.
いいわみんな
Okay, everyone, get into cars and flip over your sparks. Let's move.
それから
This is dubious. No, wait, log. Okay, everyone, get into cars, flip over your sparks. this is a golden quote. I guess I'll be wanting to hear about that excavator later on. Oh, okay, okay, let's go. So, just like that, we called the 3 sellers into a shop and we were able to listen to their descriptions to find the skill and the trigger for each piece of staff. The information note learned from these sellers about the staff is as follows. There's a musical box that presents visions when opened. A rubber ball that sets things aflame when it steps into the ball's shadow. Finally, dried flour that divides a body in twain when a petal is picked. That one was tucked in between the pages of notebook.
それじゃあ
I see, then the fact that Waring wasn't able to identify the staff doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore.
一番危険に
It
思える
seems
ス
like
テ
the
ップ
most
はやっぱり
dangerous of the
ゴム
three
ボ
is
ール
the
か
rubber
な
ball, right?
ゴムボールが死体
Couldn't
の
the
ハン
ball
マーを
have
燃やし
turned
ちゃっ
half
た
the
んじゃない
body to ash?
だか
Maybe
ら
that's why
あ
we
んな
found
状態
him
の死
like
体に
that.
なったんだよ
He didn't turn to ash.
本気で言って
Are
い
you
るのか
serious? The most
どう
dangerous
考
object
え
is
て
the
も一番
three
怪しいのは
of the
ド
three
ライ
is
フラワー
clearly
だ
dried
被
flour.
害者の
If you
状
think
態を
about
考
the
え
state
れば
of the
当然だ
victim, it's quite obvious.
販売者もドライフラワーの
The
正確
seller
なス
wasn't
キルを
quite
知ら
sure
ないそう
about
だ
the
が
skill of his
人
dried
間を真っ
flour, but
二つにす
it's
るスキルというこ
clear
と
that
は明らかだ
divides a body into two.
オルゴールのスキルも正確
It
には
sounds
分かっ
like the
ていない
musical
から
box's skill isn't spelled out too clearly
事
either.
件当時
It's quite
オ
possible
ル
that
ゴ
the
ールが
musical
開い
box
た可
was
能性
open
が
at the
残され
time
て
of
い
the
る以上
incident, thus we can't
オ
rule
ルゴ
out
ール
that
が
it
原
had
因と
some
いう可
role
能
to
性
play in
も
how
外
the
せない
incident occurred.
3
Yeah,
人が
that's
それ
true.
ぞれ違うステップを
All
疑ってい
three
る
are suspecting a different
この
piece
問
of
題を解
staff
決し
for
ない以
this.
上
I can't put
これ
this
以上
problem to
話を
rest.
進
There's
める
no
のは
way
難
we
し
can
そうだ
continue our conversation.
3人全員の意
You're
見
gonna
に
need
対
to
して
support or
同意
oppose
か否
each
定をし
person's
て
opinion to
事
exclude the
件と
staff
関
that
係が
has
な
no
いステッ
bearing
プを
on our
除外し
case.
よ
Uh, so I don't think it's the flower. Seven hours pocket watch. Ah, ha, ha, ha. It's this one. 7 hours slow. Okay, okay. So I wonder if this is could it be the wait, support the flower by pointing out the body split in half, if you ask me. Ah, that's a good point. I'm just thinking about this 7 hours slow. What's the know, is whatever. But yeah, clearly this is like, you know, this refers to that, but that's something we have to worry about either. But yeah, that's a good super flower by pointing out the story. So where's the corpse? No. And yeah, it's the other piece of the corpse. You're right, connect the clock in the notebook with the one in the bedroom. I don't think we have, like, it's gonna work yet. We probably have to do it later. Yeah. That doesn't work yet. The staff cell has been meant to be, it's all about excluding the staff that has no... So we have to exclude something. So I think it's this one then. The ball. Fire. There's no... Like maybe the visions caused by the TV thingy might have confused it, the victim somehow. A protective clothes. Are there like any like, you know, marks of fire on it? Ah, okay, here. Fingerprints on pocket watch. Trace left by corpse. Oh, okay, this one.
テナさん、
Detective Thena, the victim was not killed by the ball. How'd you know that?
もしボールのスキルなら
You write that if the victim was hit with the skill of the ball, half of his body would have been turned to ash.
テナさんも知っての
But
通
as you
り
know, Detective, the other half of his body was in his bed, right?
あ、
Ah,
それはミス。
my mistake. Just a slight mental lapse. I swear I knew that. Hahaha, why don't we think a little more before we speak?
こいつ、いつもより妙に
You
機嫌が
little,
良
the
さそ
fact
うで
that you are
ム
more
カつく。
cheery than usual only makes me more
わ
furious.
かった。
Whatever, so you're saying that the rubber ball is unrelated to our case. One statement dealt with. That leaves me with two more in the transcript. Let's print out the transcript once more and connect the information with the correct statement. So do we now have to choose the We heard a voice saying something about cleaning, but did we hear music? I think not. No, the cleaning was like, I think it was the victim complaining to his wife because she said she cleaned the room, the shed. Does the wait. Let's see. Storage shed interior. Now photograph gap is 1 week before, so it's it hasn't been turned on during the time of the incident. Yeah, okay. You really have to pay attention to small details.
被害者がオルゴール
In
を開
truth,
いた
if
可能
it were
性が残って
possible
いる
to,
以上
the
は
victim opened the
それが
music
原
box,
因だった
we
可能性を
couldn't
取り
rule
除
out
くこと
that
は
the
できま
music
せん
box was
開
involved.
いた可能性
But
が
as
残
for
っ
it
ている
having
以上
it
は
having been opened, we
ですが
must discuss if that is a possibility.
オルゴールが開かれな
Which
かっ
means
た
you're
こと
certain the
確信して
musical
いるよ
box
うに
wasn't
聞こえる
opened.
けど
ええ
Yes, I'm
ジム長
certain. Sergeant, do you
倉庫の
remember
痕
the
跡写
trace
真を
photo of
覚え
a
ています
crime
か
scene?
ブリアンさん
Detective
がスキル
Brian
で
is
そのオルゴールを調
investigated
べ
that
ました
music
よね
box using his skill.
じゃあオルゴー
I
ルに
see.
残っていた痕
And
跡
the
が
trace must be the
その
evidence
証拠ってわけね
backing your
はい
claim.
オル
It
ゴールに
is.
は
There was a
手の
handprint
跡が
left
残
on
っ
the
ていま
music
したが
box, but it was
それ
left
は1
over a
週
week
間
ago.
もし事件発生時に
Right.
オルゴールが開かれていたとしたらその痕跡が残っていなければ
Yeah, I think the cleaning thing, he said it like just before, because he was, at least according to what the wife said, he was complaining that she cleaned the shed. Anyway, so you're saying that if the musical box had any part to play in this case, there would be trace remaining, right? Yes.
残念ね
Unfortunate. I do love musical boxes.
そんな理由で候
That's
補に
not
挙
how
げ
you're
ないでくだ
supposed to
さい
settle
よ
on a possible cause. One statement dealt with. That leaves you with one more on this transcript. Let's print out the transcript, blah blah blah. Okay, so now we have to point out the correct one, I guess. This is a bit tedious if we have to do this all in right order and stuff. Okay, how about the other? The bedroom. No. Blew up due to an impact. If only the game could give a hint without spilling the beans completely. Yeah, exactly. Because this is like... This is one of these parts that I hate, because it's like... isn't it obvious that the flower had something to do with it? Like, it's just like, well, what are we supposed to be combining the statement with? Like, it seems a bit too obvious that that's what the game wants, but then it's not that. This one. Maybe we had to rule out that it was the flower alone. Ah, yeah. I guess because it was also teleported, or half of the body was teleported, or something, or maybe it was something to do with the clock. Did I try this? No. Maybe too early to drop the clock. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be the clock yet. The game, you know, you have to do this stuff in order. How about the wife's statement? Yes, in such a state. Maybe a general contradiction in our case. Your marker is on support. Yeah, now it's on support. Yeah. I'm still not sure whether we're supposed to support or oppose him. Whoa. This is also not relevant yet. Living here for the rest of your life. Like the woman, we heard the sound. Like first, we got the statement when the sergeant checked the door, but also the woman shouted it. The wife shouted it when we were there at some point. So it has something to do with the clock again. But that's not relevant yet. Yeah, it's like most dangerous. Maybe it's not the most dangerous, like it's a dangerous object, but maybe not the most dangerous. Oh, corpse. We also have the corpse here. Okay, how about support? How about who was it? This guy? Yeah, flower. Okay, let's see. Oppose and support. When was the exact time the flower fell out of the book? Does it matter? No, because it was... Oh yeah, that's still a mystery, because it was like the neighbor or the other collector, he stole the book and then the flower fell out and he put that in his safe, but then it had teleported out of there by itself. So yeah, that's also a mystery. But considering that he plucked off a petal himself, I'm sure he was right. So maybe it means that... finally. Okay, so it's not that it's lethal immediately either. Remember, the skill that divides a person into is only natural to connect that with the state of the body. Right, the state of the body is by no means a common sight. That is quite obvious to say that it was the dried flower that caused that. Indeed, that would be the case if the dried flower's skill weren't ripping a body in two. Were ripping a body in two. Did it tell up? Yeah, either is some weird time paradox, but yeah, because the guy had put that, he stole the notebook with the flower inside, took it to his own apartment, put it in the safe, and then next day when we checked the safe, it wasn't there, so it somehow teleported out of there.
そんな言い方をする
By the
と
way,
いう
you're
ことは
phrasing that.
違
That's
う
not the case, is
ブリ
it?
アンさん
Detective
そ
Brian,
の
do
ド
you
ライフラワ
remember
ーの
who the
元の持ち
original
主が
owner
誰
of
だ
the
ったか
flower was?
覚えていますか？
もちろんだ
Of course, it was
僕たちを
Mr.
攻
C,
撃
the
しようと
seller
した
whose
販売
attack
者
we
C
just
だろ
い
slaughtered.
え
No, I
C
mean the
さんの
person
前
who
の持
owned
ち
it
主です
before C.
確か C は
Indeed,
祖
he
父
did
から
say
花
his
をもらった
grandfather
と言っ
passed the
てた
flower on to
え
him.
え
That's right,
C
so
さんが
everything
持ってい
Mr.
た
C
ステッ
knew
プ
of
の
the
情報は
flower
全
he
て
learned from his
彼のお
grandfather.
じ
He
いさん
said
から
his
聞いたもので
grandfather
した。
used the staff
そ
himself.
うか
He
C
did,
の
yet
お
he
じいさん
mentioned
が生きてい
nothing
た
of
というこ
that
とは
killing
え
him.
え
Exactly,
ドライ
so
フラワー
even
の
if
スキル
someone
を
were
使
to
って
use
も
that skill, it
使
wouldn't
用者は
necessarily
死亡
kill
し
the
ません。つ
user.
まり
In
体
other
を2
words,
つに
the
分ける
skill
ス
that
キルと
divides
い
the
うの
body
は
in two, as he said,
体を
doesn't
真っ
actually
二つ
rip
に
a
するス
person
キル
into
では
two
ないということ。
sections.
体を二つに分けるという
The
表現
dividing part must be open
別
to
の
being
ことを意味している
interpreted
わ
in
け
a
で
different way. For instance,
例
maybe
え
it
ば分身
creates a
を意味
replica
す
or
る
something.
もう少し考えてから
Why don't
発
we
言
think
し
a
たら
little more about before we speak?
そっか
Indeed, I was too
僕の
hasty.
考
The
えが
memory of
浅か
seeing
っ
the
た
body like that
被
was
害
just
者
so
の視点
intense I
の
missed
印
a
象が
rather
強くて
obvious detail.
当たり前の部分を見落としていた
The drawing in the notebook leads me to believe there is more to it. Looks like it can clone you or something. Yeah, like they just said that too. It makes me think of the card game Not Alone, if you know. There's like a asymmetrical card game. One guy is an alien and others are humans trying to run away from the alien, but there's like one location, the artifact, that also splits your character in two.
ドライフラワーは事
Anyway,
件と関係ない
then the dried flower isn't directly related to our case.
どうして間違えたのに
Why do
笑
you
ってい
sound
る
so
の
cheery when
気持ち
you're
悪いんだけ
wrong?
ど
Quite upsetting.
分身じゃないと
But
し
if
たら
that's all true, does that mean it's capable of teleportation? Eh?
待てノート
Wait a
君は
minute,
確
Note.
か
Didn't
被
you
害
say
者
you
の
figured
命を
out
奪っ
which piece
た
of
ステップ
staff
が
was
分かったと言
responsible
わな
for
か
the
った
death
か
of our victim?
違う
No, 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 no. This doesn't make any
違う
sense.
ゴムボールも違
It
う
wasn't
ドライ
rubber
フラワ
ball.
ーも違
The
う
dried
ゴ
flower,
ル
the
フボ
musical
ールも
box.
違うって
Then what was it?
それ
The
じゃあ
clock.
僕たちが
As
販売者
things
から得た
stand,
情
all
報
the
は
information
無
we
用
got
の
from
長
our
物だっ
sellers is
た
useless.
ええ、無用の
Yes,
長
it's
物です
useless, but it's enough.
彼らが売った3つ
The
のステッ
pieces
プの
of
中
staff
に
they sold to the
事
victim
件と
are
関係の
unrelated
あ
to
るも
this
のは
case.
なかったこの情
Yeah,
報
it's
が
the
重要
clock.
なんです
Let's fucking go, indeed. That information is
そ
valuable
う
to
ね
us.
こ
I'm
れで
getting
残った
chills
の
on
は
my
一つとい
back
う
of
こ
my
と
neck because finally, stuff is happening. We're like, we're using our detective superpowers. We got one piece of staff remaining.
残っ
One
Huh?
remaining where? We just ruled them
残っ
all
たの
out,
がど
didn't we?
4番目のステ
You're
ップ
talking about the
と
fourth,
いうことか
are you? Or aren't you?
そういえば
Now that you
メルさん
mention
が
it,
そんな
Elle
こと
did
言っ
say
てたっ
something
け
to that extent.
ええ
That's
被
right.
害者が
Out
買
of
った
the
4
four
つのステ
pieces
ッ
of
プ
staff purchased
そ
by
のう
the
ち3つ
victim,
が
we
事件と無
eliminated
関係
three,
なら
meaning that
残りの
one
1つ
remaining
こ
must
そ
have taken the
被害
life
者
of
の
the
命を
victim.
奪ったものということです。
確かにベリンのメモに
Bering's
書いてあっ
note
たステ
also
ップも
clearly shows that
4
there
つ
was
だ
a
った
fourth.
だけど被害
Yet
者
it's
が
not
本
clear
当
that
に
the
ステッ
victim
プを
bought
4
all
つ
of
全部買ったかは
four
わ
items
か
on
ら
the
ない
list. Miss L.
エ
Miller
ルミ
also
ラ
said
も
that she
その
could
時
have
は引っ越しの
misheard
準備
all
で
the
忙しくて
during all the
聞
chaos
き間
brought
違えたかもしれないと言
about
って
by
いた
moving
し
houses. We didn't rule out the flower completely. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's still possible it was combined with the clock somehow. Like, I'm thinking maybe it's like maybe one half was in the past affected by the clock and the other half was in present and they couldn't mesh together. Like maybe there's a time limit. You split yourself for 5 minutes, but like maybe that's why they were in two different locations.
エルの発言だけじゃなくて
But what does
Alan
make it
と
clear
少年
is that we got more than
被害
just her
者はベリ
statement,
ンから
no? We have evidence
4
that
つ
the
のステップ
victim
を買ったという
bought all
証拠
four
が
pieces of staff from Bering.
はい被害者とベニンさんの取引を表
That's
す文
right,
書
we
が
have two different
2つあ
pieces
っ
of
たという
evidence
ことを覚え
documented
て
in
い
the
ますよ
sale.
ねそこ
You
に注
remember
目す
that,
るべきなんで
right?
す
We should focus on both.
被害者とベニンさんの
The
取引
transaction between victim
それ
and
が
Miss
記録さ
Bering,
れ
or
て
the
いる文
documents
書
that recorded it.
その関係性を
If we
指
can
摘でき
point
れ
out
ば
the contradiction
4
between
番目
them,
の
we
ステ
can
ップの
prove
存在を
existence of
証明できるはず
fourth
だ
piece of staff. So is it the clock icon finally? Yeah, no record of that stuff. No. Okay, this is too early, I guess. So what piece staff was the one who took the life of the victim. All that left is to figure out what it was in order to reveal how the victim died. So is this one, if we're trying to figure out what is the fourth, or is it is wait, so was there a statement about a fourth? Wait, is there? Is there like her blood trace on the pocket watch? How about the other picture of the bedroom? Pocket watch. Oops. Do we have to like combine these, like we tell this is this power, this is this power or something? Come on, I think we know that, so I don't think that's what we need to do, but so how do we know it's a clock that somehow takes you back 7 hours in the past or keeps you in the past or something like that, but so is there some statement somebody said about the fourth item? Musical box. No, this is all about musical box. Rubber ball. No, that doesn't matter. Flower. So it has to be some like surely it's something to do with this then. Like if we have to prove that this is the thingy. Or is it the money? Do we have to choose the money? No, the money is just okay, like all of these are one hotspot. just gonna take a hint. Oh. This one. The payment, of course. Okay, is it the money here? This one. Or okay.
この記憶調査書を見てく
Look
だ
at
さ
this
い。
memory server right
被害
here.
者がステップ
There
を
was
買
a
った時に
receipt
作
of the
成した領収
transaction
書
with
に
all
つ
the
いての情
information
報が
about the
書かれ
あ
sale.
なたが持っているのに
You
どう
got
や
the
って見ようっ
documents,
てい
how
う
are we
の？
supposed to look at them?
すみま
I'm
せん。
sorry, force of
つい
habit.
癖で。
According to the receipt, the
領収
sale
書による
amounted
と
to around
被害者が支
5,000
払った金
pounds.
額は5000ポンドです。
かなりの金
Again,
額
that's so much
ね。
money. You
私
should
も
have
く
just
れたら
given
いい
it
そ
to
れ
me.
でノート
So what's that
この
number
金額
supposed
の
to
意
mean
味
to
は
us,
何だ
note? I
これだ
can't
けで
think
は
of any
特に何の
significance to
証拠
such
に
an
もなら
amount.
これだけを見たらそうでしょう
Doesn't
ね。
mean because you
ですが、
combine all of it. It
ベリ
doesn't
ン
mean
さ
a
んの
lot
メモと
taken
一
by
緒に見て
itself,
くだ
but
さい。
take a look at alongside Miss Vering's
ど
notes.
れ
Yeah, it's 3 plus 2 plus 5, that's 10, and this is 4,000, so it's like 5,000 altogether.
あ、ブリアンさん、前を
Like
見
the
てくだ
eyes
さい。
on the
前。
road. Look
僕が口
forward.
でちゃんと説明しますから。
I'll just explain it to you.
ああいや
My word,
癖と
habit
いう
is
の
a
は恐ろし
terrifying
いもの
thing
だな
indeed.
ブリアンさん、さっきから
Detective
妙
Brian
に
has
テンショ
seemed
ンが
quite
高い。
tense for a while now.
まさか
He didn't hit his
さっ
head
き
back
頭で
there
も
or
あったの
anything,
か。
did he?
ベリンさんのメモには
Miss
ス
Vering
テッ
has
プ
the
の
price
販
of
売者が
each
書かれてい
item
ま
for
す。
sale here in her notes.
A さんのステップは
Miss A
300ポン
staff
ド。
was 300
B さん
pounds,
のス
Miss
テップ
B's
は
was
200ポンド。
200, and Mr. C's
C さんのステッ
500
プは
pounds.
500。
へえ。
Oh,
たく
she
さん
got a
儲
lot,
けたんだ
but
ね。
it's nothing compared to
5000
5,000
ポンドに
pounds.
比べればだいぶ少ないけど。
So yeah, if she made so much money, like, why was she living in the slum? I guess it was to hide her business and stuff.
どうして少ないのか
Is
し
it
ら
really nothing though?
そこ
Ah,
です。
she figured it
僕
out.
たちが会っ
If we
た
bought
販
all
売
the
者たち
three
のステップを
pieces
全部
our
購
seller
入しても
sold,
金
that
額は
would be
1000ポ
around
ン
a
ド。
thousand pounds, which
被
puts
害
us
者が支払
4,000
った
pounds
額よ
short
り
of what the victim was
4000
supposed
ポ
to
ンド
have
ベリ
paid.
ンさんのメモ
However,
に
Miss Vering
一
has
番下
noted
の
at the
行
very
に
bottom of
別のステ
one
ップに
piece
つ
of
いての
staff
記録が
because
あり
it's
ます。
smudged. I can tell you the
インクが
exact
滲んで
figure,
いるの
but I
で
can see it
正
starts with
確
a
な
4.
4000ポンド
4,000
はい。
pounds. That's right.
この
If
最
this
後のス
last
テップ
piece of
が
staff was worth
4000ポンドだ
4,000,
とし
the
たら、
victim did indeed
そして
buy it. Our
被
price
害者が
tag
これを買ってい
of
たとしたら、
5,000 seems correct.
5000
Yeah,
ポン
yeah,
被
yeah.
害者はこ
The
のメ
victim
モ
must
にある
have
ステップを
bought
全部
all the
購入し
staff
てい
on
たんで
his
す。
list.
4000ポンドもするステッ
4,000
プな
pounds
ら
for one piece of staff.
それ
You
なりの
could
邸
buy
宅
a
を
whole
丸
house
一
for the
軒購
price of
入で
that.
きる金額だその最後の
Last
ステッ
piece of
プは
staff is
被
it
害
the
者の
one that
命
killed
を
our
奪った
victim?
あな
No,
た
you
は
said
被
you
害者
figured
の
out
命を奪った
something
ステ
about
ッ
the
プが何
staff
か
that took the
分
life
かっ
of
た
the
と言ったわ
victim.
ね
So in other
つま
words,
りその最後の
you
ステッ
already
プが
know
ど
what
ん
sort
な
of
ものな
staff
のか
this last piece is,
もう予
don't
想
you?
はつ
そうなのか
Does
い
it
やしか
really?
し
But
被
the
害
only
者の
thing
家
left at
ス
victim's
テッ
house
プ
is
だと
worth
言って
ブリア
calling
ンさんも
staff.
チーム長も
Detective Brian,
皆さ
Sergeant,
ん
you both seen the
4
last
番
piece
目
of
のステッ
staff
プを見たこ
firsthand.
とが
You
あり
just
ます。
didn't think it was
た
staff at
だ
the
で
time.
も
However,
ベ
if
リン
you
さんが売っ
consider the
たステップに
characteristics
関
of
する
all
手
the
がかり
staff
と照
Miss
らし合
Vering
わせれ
sold,
ば
we can figure out which
現場の写真から
item
今
we
まで見過
overlooked
ご
in
さ
the
れていた
crime scene
4番目の
pictures.
ステップが見えてきます。
Okay, can we finally do the clock combination? Pocket watch. Do we have to choose the other one? Because we have two. No? Or do we have to choose this one? Wow. Okay, what does it say? Considering what all the staff Vering sold has in common, it's obvious where the final piece of staff that no one's been talking about is located. Yeah, we cannot. So it's not this one and it's not the other one. Where is it then? How do we? Can we just use the bedroom or something? Willie said that's when I stole the notebook. I still wonder if we have to cross-reference the exact time with something. That's possible. Yeah, not now, because now we just have to... Or is it the door? Is the door the actual time travel thingy and the clock is just a... Or is the window? Like, is it actually, maybe the... Could the clock be a red herring? All items had something in common. It's the floor. I can think of something. Oh, so what's that? Scotch is not here. Okay, it was this door. So the clock was a red
ベリ
herring.
ンさんが売ったステップには
There's one
一つ
thing
の
that
共
each
通
piece
点
of
があり
staff
ます
sold by Miss Herring has in
そ
common.
れはベ
The
リン
red
さんの
mark
スキルによ
shows
って
she
できた
uses her skill on
赤い
it.
マーク
Ah,
が書
yeah,
かれて
the
いるこ
door
とで
had
す
the mark.
ベリンさんはこの
Miss
マークを
Herring
見て
checks these marks
ステッ
to
プ
see
の
the
移動経
paths
路を
these
調べると
items
言っ
are
ていました
taken. That's why it's
それ
highly
なら
likely that
こ
every
のマーク
item
は
she's ever
彼女
sold
が売っ
also
た
bears
全て
this
のステ
mark.
ップ
なるほど。ドライ
We
フラワー
haven't
は
seen the
実際に
dried
見ていない
flower
の
for
だ
ourselves, so we can't say
ゴ
for
ムボール
certain
や
about
オル
it,
ゴー
but
ル
that
が
pattern
そ
is
の
on
マ
the
ーク
rubber
に残され
ball
てい
and
る
music box.
つまり
In other
この
words,
マークが残
anything
されて
bearing
い
the
るもの
mark
は
is staff
ベリンさん
Mr.
が売っ
Waring
たステップ
sold.
ということでしょう
Yes, I wasn't thinking it would be the door, but especially because the door is in like 3 or something different clues and you have to pick the right one.
あ
No,
そうか
I see,
や
of
はり
course.
ブリアンさん
Detective,
前
eyes forward.
ああ
Sorry, these habits will be death of me.
本当に恐ろし
Yeah,
い
they
です
really are
し
frightening.
かし
However,
君
I
が
know what
何を
you're
言いた
trying
い
to
のか
say
は分か
before.
った
Waring's
現
red
場のド
mark
アに
was
は
also on
ベ
the
リンの
door
も
at
の
the
と似
scene
た
of the
赤いステ
crime.
ップを保管し
The
た
door
倉
to the
庫か
storage shed.
それが4番
That's
目
our
のステッ
fourth
プ
piece
の
of
正
staff.
体ということか
まあ
Well,
僕
that's
も
what I
最初は
thought
そう
at
考え
first
たんです
too.
が
So wait, is closing the... Ah, yeah. Big... Or is it locking? It was either that the victim never closed the door or he never locked the door. It's one of them. So it's, you know, either closing or locking. But I guess it's that probably activates it. So that's how she escaped, like this Waring, because she used time travel. So did she go back in time or something? Anyway,
い
that's
く
what
ら
I
なんで
thought,
も
but I don't think
ドア
any
一つが
ordinary
4000
war
ポン
would
ドもす
cost
るのはありえ
4,000
ないと思い
pounds.
ま
The
す
fourth piece of staff is
4番目の
probably
ステップはお
expensive
そらく
in and in of
スキル
of
がなくて
itself,
も価
even
格が
without a
高い
skill.
そうすると
What do you mean? Yeah, never closed it, but the Waring, she
ドアに
closed
書かれ
it
た
when
マ
she
ー
went
ク
inside the
他
shed.
のステップに
The
書かれた
pattern
も
of the
の
door
よ
was much
ずっと
simpler
シ
than
ン
the
プルだった
patterns on the rest of the staff.
ん
Ah, there's
あ
just a
あ
single
電話
mark on
ベ
it.
リンの管理情報を
You
見れ
take a
ば
look at Waring's
円の
bureau
中
file.
に
It
書かれ
says
た
the
線は
lines
ステップ
of
の
the
移動
circle
経路を
represent
表
the
す
staff's movements.
線が一本もないあの
Considering
マ
there
ー
are
ク
no
は
lines, it means
そ
the
のステッ
staff
プが
hasn't
一度も
moved
動か
from
され
its
ていない
spot
こ
a
とを
single
意味
time.
つまりあの
So
ドア
this
は
door
あそ
was
こか
never
ら一
moved.
もしステップがドア
If
で
the staff were
被
the
害者がその
door
ドア
and
を
he attaches to
自
his
分の家
storage
の
shed,
倉庫に取り付けたとしたら
there would have been a line in the circle.
つまり
To put it
被害
simply,
者
the
が借
staff
りた
is
ステッ
not
プ
the door itself, the whole shed.
は一度もそこから動
Something
か
that
なかっ
hasn't been
た
moved a single time. Then
それはお
perhaps
そらく
So it's like a TARDIS or something, time travel device. No, I may be going on a wild goose chase with this, but I do remember something. The victim's wife, Elle Miller, said something. She mentioned his comment was he was lucky to find 4 pieces of rare staff. However, she continued to say that because she had just moved there, she may have misheard.
そうですね。
That's right, the
被害者
couple
夫
moved
婦はス
into
テ
the
ップを
house
買う
right
時
when
に
he
今
purchased
の
the
家に引っ
staff.
越しました。僕はこれが
I don't think we
偶
can
然だ
call
とは
that a
思います。4番
coincidence.
目のステップの
Considering
値
the
段は4000ポン
4,000
ド。
price tag and the
家
amount
が
you
1
could
軒買え
literally
る値
buy
段。
a house for,
それに見合
the
うものを
product
被
has
害
to
者は
match the
買ったんです。
price the victim paid for it.
事件現場。
The scene of the crime, the victim's house, that's how he
そう
got
する
his
ことで
hands on the fourth
4
piece of
番目の
staff.
ステップが手に入る。
And the fourth piece isn't just the storage shed door.
え
It's the
被害者
storage
がステ
shed
ッ
where
プ
the
を保
victim
管して
kept
い
his
た
staff.
倉
The whole building is the
庫。それ
fourth
自体が被
piece
害
of
者の
staff.
被害者の命を
That's the
奪
thing
った
that
ステ
killed
ッ
the
プのはず
victim.
です。
Shinjitsu wa hitotsu, logicalu. Storage shed where he housed his staff collection. I would never have thought of that.
確か
It's
に
quite
すごいと思う
impressive, but that's not the end of
けど
this, is it?
はい。
Huh?
4番目のステ
The
ップは
fourth piece
そ
of
こ
staff is the shed. That's how
これ
you're
はあなたの
explaining
説
it.
明の
But
通
what's
り
more
だと思う
important
が
is what sort of skill
でも
that building
そ
holds.
れより重要それが説明で
If
き
you
な
can't
ければ
explain that note,
ノー
your
ト
reasoning about
被
victim's
害者
death
が
being
倉庫の
caused by
せい
the
で死
shed
んだ
is
という
simply a
あなた
guess.
の
There's
推
no
理は
way for you to
た
guarantee
だ
it
の憶
killed the
測に
victim
過ぎる
チー
otherwise.
ム長はいつも痛いと
So
こ
it's
ろを
just
つい
knack
てく
for
るな。
finding my sore spots and
ノート
squeezing.
倉庫のスキ
That
ルについ
sounds a
て
bit
分かっていることは
rude
ある
or
のか
lewd. Note, have you figured anything out about the warehouse's skill?
怪しいところはあ
I
り
have
ま
my
す。
suspicions.
そ
Oh
れ
well,
な
if
ら
that's the case, it is
なので
Detective
ブレアさ
Brian,
ん、
though it's all still a
ち
bit
ょっ
of
と
rough
ここ
around the
を
edges.
散らかしますよ。
Exologic. This case, it has objects
死
moving
体の
about
衝
in
撃
strange
的な
ways,
状
but
態
we
のせい
haven't
で
seen
目
the
立たなか
forest
った
for the
が、
trees because of
お
the
かしな
state of
動
the
きあ
body.
りえないところに移
These
動したも
objects
の。
are exactly where they
変わった
shouldn't
場所
be.
にあった
They're all
全て
in
のもの。
unusual places. That's
それが
because
倉
of
庫
the
のスキ
skill
ル
of
の
the
せいだと
storage
した。
shed.
それらのものを
And
全
I
部
just
つ
need
な
to
ぎ合わせ
connect
れ
all
ば、
these items to
倉
figure
庫
out
の
what
ス
the
キルの
skill,
全貌が明らか
skill
に
the
なるだろう。
storage shed possesses. Alright, well, this is obvious, right? This one. I guess this because it was blowed. Well, this also could be. Yeah, that. Oh, wrong this way. Maybe L's handprint. You talked about it just before, moment before. No, which is this suspicious victim or his wife's? That's not the issue here. The problem is that there is not another set. There's a good chance the corpse was moved using none of the staff she got displayed on the shed. It's just one of the statements. Let's try that. I snuck into his storage shed. Yeah, he leaves the door open. I think that's probably... Okay, that's all. Let's combine and see how many are correct. 3. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, that was correct. About this, snuck in the storage shed. Yeah, so this is still wrong. Okay, Put it back where it was, locked it up in the safe. I'm sure why isn't it there? Maybe that's the right one. Yes. Five. All right. One. Is it this one? I think this is the one that's wrong. Link statement, you can stay the rest of your life. So we did it. Question mark. So was it an accident or
ひらめいた。
I've unlocked it?
考えてみると、
Now that I'm
こ
really
の事件に
thinking
はお
about
かし
it,
な移
there
動
are
をし
too
たも
many
のが
objects
とて
I've
も多いん
seen
です。
moved about in odd ways.
倉庫の前から
The
寝室
victim's
に移
body
動し
was
た被
transported
害者の死体。
from in front of his
被
shed
害
to
者の
his
ポケットから
bedroom.
ベッ
His
ドの
pocket
サイ
watch
ドテ
was
ーブルに
taken
移動
from
し
his
た
pocket and
懐
placed
中
on
時
the
計。
bedside
被害
table.
者が着ていた防護服
Half
は
of the victim's
半分だ
protective
け倉
clothing
庫
was
の前
moved to
に移
the
動。
side of the storage shed.
モンテギューさんが
The
盗んだノー
notebook
トと
and
ステップは
staff Montague
元の
stole
場
were
所である
returned to where
倉
they
庫に
were
戻
in
っ
the
てくる。
shed.
そしてこ
And
の
all
す
of
べて
the
の移動は被
all
害
of
者が
these
死亡した
movements
日の
occurred in the
朝を起
morning
点
of
に
the
行わ
victim's
れまし
death.
た。
何が言いたいのか
I
分かった。
understand what you're trying to
その全て
say.
の
The
移動
force
の原
behind
因
all
が
of these
倉
movements
庫の
is
ス
the
キルだと
storage
いうの
shed.
か。
妥当な考え
It
ね。
makes sense.
モンテギュー
Notebook
が盗んだ
Montague
ノートが移動
stole
したの
did
は
in fact
明
move,
白
and
な
none
事
of the
実
other
だし、
pieces of staff had
他のステップ
teleportation
のスキルの
skill.
中には。
そっか。
I see. Well
それで
then, what is
そ
its
のスキ
skill
ル、
移
exactly?
動した物体に
Every
は
item that
一つ
moves
の共
shares
通
one
点があ
thing
り
in
ます。
common. They all return to
過
where
去
they
にあっ
were
た
in
場
the
所に戻っ
past.
て。 皆さん、
You all
ベリン
remember
さん
the
が持ってい
notes
たメ
Miss
モを覚
Fering
えていま
had
す
on
か？
her person, right?
倉庫のスキ
Do
ル
you
を表す
remember what
4
she
番目
drew
の
to
行幕に
represent the skill the
何が書
storage
かれて
shed
いたかを
carried?
覚
時計の
It's a picture of a
時
clock,
ええ。そし
and
てそ
right
の
next
隣
to
に
it she
は
got wrote a
マ
minus
イナス
sign and
7と
number
いうち
7.
ょうど被害者
Plus
が
the
事件
watch
当時持ってい
the
た時
victim
計
was
も
carrying at the time of
7
the
時間
incident
前
was
に戻っ
turned
ていましたよ。
back 7 hours.
マイナス7という
So the minus
7時間。
7 means it
物体が
turns
戻っ
back
ていく
time
時
7
間とい
hours
うこと
for
か。
objects.
犯行を目撃
According
し
to
たと主張する L
Mrs.
さんの
Miller's
陳述
statement
通り
about the
なら、
murder, our
被
victim,
害者が死亡した時刻は
he's still
今朝
calling
の
it a
5時。
murder. Our
その
victim
7
died
時
at
間
5
前なら
o'clock in the morning.
昨夜22
7
時。
hours before would be 10 o'clock the previous night. 10 o'clock the previous night.
その時間なら
At that time,
被
it
害者
wouldn't
が
be
眠りにつく
unreasonable
た
to
めに
think he'd
ベ
be
ッド
lying
に横
down
になって
getting
いて
ready
も
for
おかしく
bed.
ありません。
It'd be natural for him to
時
set
計
his
は寝る
pocket
前に
watch on the
隣に
table
置くのが、
beside
そして
him.
モンテギューさんがステップを盗んだの
Montague
は
wouldn't
2
steal the
時間後
staff
の真
until
夜中
2
なの
hours
で、
later, so the
黒いノート
notebook
は
would
元の
still
位置
be
に
on
置か
its
れているでし
stand.
ょうし、
The
防護服
protective
も当然
clothing would be
倉庫
hanging
の
in
中
its
に置かれて
place
いたで
in
しょう。
front of the storage shed as well. Then it seems from the state the shed is in now,
倉庫の内部
the
を7
storage
時間
shed
前
can
の状
return
態に
itself to
戻
the
す。
state it was in
それが
7 hours before.
倉庫の
That's
スキルという
the
ことで
shed
す。
skill. So does it mean like the guy was sort of standing at the doorway and then somebody closed the door and that's what like cutting him in
そ
half?
して
And if
もし
Mrs.
エル
Miller's
さんの
statement is
陳
true,
述が真実なら、
現場に
we are
到
here,
着した。
the scene of the crime. Still saying it's a crime. Well, of course it's crime at least having these staff items already.
倉庫のスキルが発動
When
す
the
ると、
storage shed
倉庫は
skill
7
is
時間前の
activated,
状
it
態に
returns
戻る。
everything to how
そ
it
し
was
て
7 hours
7時
before.
間前に倉庫
That
にな
even
かったも
includes
のは
things that already
7時間
inside at
前にあった
the
場所
shed
に
at the
戻る
time,
という
putting
こと
them
なの
back
か。
to where they were 7 hours before.
どうして被害者が
I
この
understand
倉
why
庫
the
に
victim would want
他
to
の
store
ステ
this
ップを保
stuff
管して
inside
お
the
いた
shed
のか
now.
分かったわね。
I guess makes sense, yeah.
今回のように
Even if
倉庫のもの
peace
がな
were
く
to
なっ
go
たとして
missing,
も
as it did in this
7時
case,
間以
as
内に
long
ス
as
キ
he
ルを発
activated
動
the
すれ
skill
ば
within 7
ス
hours,
テップは
the
元
staff
の
would
場所
be
に戻
right
るんだから。
where he left it.
泥棒が
A
倉庫ご
thief
と
couldn't
盗ん
steal
で
a
いかない
single
以上
object in the room without
この中
taking
に
the
あるも
whole
のは
shed.
盗めない。
Let's do a save. It's been a while. Wait, hold up. Then Waring's disappearance from inside
ええ
there. She
倉庫のスキル
activated
を
the
発
shed
動させ
skill
て
and
メ
went
リン
back
さん
to
が7
wherever
時
she
間前
was
にい
7
た場所
hours
に戻
before.
ったんでしょうね。
かなり大胆な
Quite a
脱
bold
出方法
escape,
だ。
teleporting with the
ステッ
help of
プを使って
staff.
瞬
I
間移動
imagine
など
such
す
a
れば
thing could have
体に
adverse
悪影
effects on
響
the
を
body,
及ぼ
but
す
I
可能
guess
性
she'd
もあっ
rather
ただ
risk
ろう
it
に
than stay in our
僕たちに
custody.
捕ま
戻ってらっしゃいましたね。
I see you've returned in one piece.
エルさん、
I mean, El,
他の捜査官じゃなくて皆さんが来たということは
considering it's you're
新し
not
く何か分
officials
かった
from
んです
another
ね。
division you arrived, does it mean you figured something
ま
out?
だ捜査が進
Not
行
yet,
中
we
で
are
す。
still investigating the lead.
もう少
Could you
しだ
give
け
us a
お待ちいただけますでしょ
little while
それ
longer?
じゃあ
Of
私
course,
も
I
こ
was
こに
also hoping to.
ダメです。
You can't be
他
here.
のとこ
You'd
ろ
better
にい
go
らっしゃって
somewhere
くだ
わ
else.
かりました。
All right.
ん
Hmm?
ところで
There's more to figure out?
もちろん、
Of course, this isn't
こ
a
れはステッパー
staffer-related
による
murder.
殺人じゃない。
Staff can
ステッパー
choose to use
自
its
身の
skill.
意思でスキルを使わないから。
トリガー
The
この
trigger,
倉
we
庫
still
の
have
スキ
to
ル
figure
が
out
発
the
動され
trigger
る
that
トリ
set
ガー
off
を
the
調べな
skill.
きゃいけない
Isn't
ん
it
です
closing the door?
そして
The
そのト
trigger
リガー
will
は
be directly
被害者
related
が
to the
死亡し
cause
た
of the
理由と
victim's
直
death.
結する見つけなきゃいけません
It's our job to figure that out.
被
We
害
have
者が
duty
死ん
to
だ
find
原
out
因
how
を
he died and
エル
relate the
ミラーさんに
cause
伝える
of
義務
death
があ
to
る
L. Miller.
でもスキル
But
の
do
ト
we
リガ
have
ー
any
み
way
たい
of
なものを
figuring
調
out
べる
what the
方法
意
trigger
外
is?
と簡単かもしれ
It
ませ
might be
ん。
easier than you
僕
think.
たち
We
は
have a
この
witness
倉庫のス
there
キ
at
ル
the
が使わ
moment
れ
the
る
skill
瞬
was
間をも
activated.
ジャド
Ah,
ベリン
is that
え
Waring?
え
That's
僕
right,
た
we
ち
saw
は
Zed
メ
Waring
リンさんが
activate the
倉庫
shed
のスキ
skill,
ルを
didn't
あれ
we?
は完全なミスだ
I
と
just
思った
viewed
けど、
that as your mistake.
まさ
I
か
had
こん
no
な風
idea
に
it could
捜査
help
に
our
役立つとは
investigation.
思わなかっ
If
た。
Waring left behind any trace
あの
ありま
evidence,
したわ
she
ずか
did.
ではありますが
It's
一
small,
つ
but it's
ベ
there.
リンが残し
The
た
one
痕
piece
跡
of
が
trace evidence she
はい
left.
そ
Right,
して
the
その
trace.
痕
We
跡
made a
は
record
こ
of
の
it.
資料に記録されています。
Wait, is it the window? Fingerprints on the window, L and bearing. So if that would suggest that L is the killer if this is the trigger. Like maybe you have to close the door and then touch the window or something. Hello?
それでは始
Well
めま
then,
す
let's get to
こ
it.
の懐中時計を倉庫の中に置きます
Solves. Or is it? I'm gonna set this pocket watch
ボ
inside.
ールの影に
Make
入ら
sure
ない
you
よう
don't
に
move
気を
into
つ
the
けて。
ball's shadow.
よし
There you go.
あの懐
The
中
watch
時計は
was next to the
寝
bed
室
in
の
his
ベッドの
bedroom.
隣にあり
So
ま
if
し
we
た
activate the shed
倉庫
skill,
の
it
スキル
should
が
go
発動
back
されれ
there.
ばそう
テナ、ベッド
Then
の
I'll
隣に
report it if it
懐中時
returns
計
to
が
the side
現
of
れ
the
たら
bed.
報告して。
Roger.
ノート、
Alright,
Madam
note.
Schmidt.
Close the window.
ベリンさんがスキルを使って
The
残し
only
た痕
trace
跡
Miss
は
Waring left
この
behind
窓
when
の
she
手の
used
跡
the
だ
shed
け。
skill was on his window.
この窓を
On this
閉めれば
window, so perhaps when I close the window.
もうやったの
Did you do it? I'm not seeing the pocket
こ
watch.
っちも
The
懐
watch
中時
still
計が
hasn't
消えていま
disappeared
せん
from on our
そ
side.
んなはずは。
That
ベ
can't
リン
be.
さんが
Miss
触った
Waring
の
only
は
touched the
窓
window.
だけのはず。
きっとあ
There's
の時
clearly
の倉
something
庫の
different
状況
between
と
now
違
and
ってい
then.
るところがある
Did
はず。
Waring ask you to do anything?
ベリー、
確か
It looked like Miss Waring thought of something. I'm certain of it. Then maybe
ドアを
the
ベ
door.
リンは
Waring
ドアを
asked us to
閉め
shut
て
the
ほしい
door.
と言っ
Isn't
てま
that
し
the
た
most obvious
こうやって
part? Just like this. Ah, it's here.
時計が元の場所に
The pocket watch went back to where it was.
これだったか
Was that it
ドアを
then?
閉めてほしいと言った
Asking
の
us to
は
shut the door, we
自分の
thought
行
it
動を
was her
隠す
way
た
of
めかと思い
hiding
ま
her
した
movements, but it was
で
never
すが
about that.
ドアと窓
The door and the
こ
window,
の
they
2つ
both
を
had
閉
to
め
be
る
shut,
必要があったんです。
密室を作る
making the interior of the room an
それが
enclosed
この
space.
倉庫のトリガ
A
ーだったんだ
space, that's the shed's trigger.
やっとわかりました。
We got it now.
被害者
The
はきっ
victim
と
must have gotten
倉
himself
庫から
wedged
出
in
よ
the
うとし
door
て
when he
ドア
was
に
leaving.
挟まれて。
みんな、お疲
Great
れ様。
job, everyone.
これで
Now we only
最後
got
の
one more
疑問だ
question
け
to
が残っ
answer.
たわ。
はい。
What?
密室になった
We
倉
figured
庫の
out
スキルで
that the shed
被
uses
害者
its
は死
skill
を
when
迎
it's
え
being
た。
closed off from the outside world, and we've uncovered the truth of how the victim died.
だとすれば
However,
そ
we
の
still
倉
have
庫
to
を
figure
密
out
室にした
who
人
closed it off.
被害者が死亡
We
した
don't
時
have
の
many
状況を記
documents
し
that
た資料
record
は
what was
そう
going
何枚
on
も
at
あ
the
るわけ
time
じゃ
of
な
the
い。
incident. It shouldn't
探
be
し出
that
すのは
hard to
難
find
しかっ
them.
たが、
So the
あ
only
の
person
時
there was
あの場
so
所にいた
the
のは
wife. Like I guess it's possible she did it accidentally because she was cleaning, and that's so freaking ironic. Because one of the most destructive acts in the world is like a woman cleaning. So shed triggers. If this is the shed skill and killed the victim, who was it that closed off the shed? Where was? At some point she admitted to having cleaned it, but we don't have like the witness statement of that. Aha, handprint L.
エルさんの陳述によ
According to
る
the
と、
statement made by
被害者
Mrs.
と
Miller,
喧嘩
she
をした
got
そう
into
で
an
す。
argument with the victim.
その原因は
That cause of
エ
the
ルさんが
argument was
倉庫の
Mrs.
外を掃
Miller's
除したからでし
cleaning
た。
of the exterior of the
特
shed.
に
Specifically,
窓を
Mrs.
掃除した
Miller
とエル
said
さ
it
んは
was
言いま
about
した。
cleaning the window.
ノート
Note,
今なん
what
て
are you
その
implying?
後、
After she
エルさ
finished
んは倉庫
cleaning,
の
the
中にいた
argument
被害者
happened.
と喧嘩
Mrs.
を
Miller
始めまし
shouted
た。
at the victim
そして
while he was
エルさんは
inside the
倉庫
shed.
の中にいた被害者に向かって叫んだんです。そんなにいいな
She
ら
said,
一
"You
生そ
can
こで
live
暮
in
らし
there
なさ
for
い。
the rest of your life." So maybe she slammed the door shut.
この声は
That's when the
チーム長が読
conversation
み取った
the
ドアの記
sergeant
憶にも
picked
残
up
って
for
い
the
ました。
memories left in
そ
the
して
door.
その喧嘩の
After
直
that,
後
she slammed the door
ド
shut.
アは閉まりました。ドアには
We know that
エル
because
さんの
Mrs.
手の
Miller's
跡が残っ
handprint
てい
is
まし
on
た。
the floor
ステッ
on
プ
the
での
door.
瞬間移動は
Because the staff
安
we're
全が
talking
保証
about,
され
it
ていま
doesn't
せん。
guarantee the safety of
も
whatever
し
it teleports.
被
So
害
if
者
the
がドアを
victim
閉
were
め
to
ようとしたエルさんを見
see
て
his wife slamming the door,
慌てて倉
he
庫の
might
外
have
に
gotten
出よう
caught
と
in
し
the
て
door
ドア
trying
に
to get out.
挟ん
いや
No,
いや悪いがノー
I'm sorry, but
君の
note,
言葉には
there's a
論理
flaw
的
in
な
your
ミ
logic.
スですか？
Flaw?
そう
The shed has to be closed off to activate the skill, but if a person were wedged in between the door and the door frame, you couldn't say the room was
完
perfectly
全な
sealed
密
off.
もちろん完全な密室が必
Of
要
course,
という
saying
条
it
件
needs
は
to be
僕
perfectly
の
sealed
推
is
測に
just a
過ぎない
guess of mine, but according to the
さっ
experiment
き
we
の
just
実験では
conducted, the
ドア
skill
がぴっ
was
たり
only
閉まりきって
activated once
初
the
めて
door was
スキル
flushed
が
against
発
its
動した
frame.
被害者がドアに挟まった
If
と
a
しても
victim was caught
上の方には
in
かなり
between
の
the
隙間
door
が
and
で
its
きて
frame when it
倉
was
庫のト
closing,
リガ
there'd
ーとなる
still
条
be a
件
lot
を
of
満たす
space above him. That wouldn't satisfy the condition of the shed's
ブ
trigger.
リアンさん、
I'm sorry,
残念
Detective
ですが
Brian, but your
そ
assertion
の
is
主張は
incorrect.
人とドアの
The
間に
gap
できる
between the
隙
door
間、
and its frame
その
had
隙間を
something
埋める
filling
あるも
it.
の
There
が
was something
明ら
capable
か
of
にあっ
doing
たから
that.
です。
Is it like the protective suit or something? I think it's the protective suit. Yes.
ブリアンさん、
Detective Brian, really think about it. How did the victim look at the time of his death?
それは
Well, he
この防護服、
protective clothing was blown up like a balloon. Due to the shock,
衝
it
撃を
filled
受
with
け
the
ると
air,
膨張
increasing
し
in
て体
size.
積が増えます。被害者が閉じ
When
る
the
ド
door
アに
hit
ぶつ
it,
かった
the
時、
suit would have
この
inflated
防
to
護服
protect
は
its wearer.
膨らんだ防護
As it
服が
grew,
ド
it
ア
would
の
have
隙間
become
を埋
big
めた
enough
んで
to
す。
block the gaps in the door.
そして
Then,
ト
with
リガーの
trigger
条件
met,
は満たさ
everything
れ、
inside the door
部
was
屋の中
returned
は
to the
7
state
時
it
間
was
前
in
の状
7
態に
hours
戻る。
before.
まだ倉庫の中
That
にいた
includes
被
half
害者
of the
の
victims
半
stuck
身
inside the shed.
ええ
That's right, the half of it
7
was
時間前にいた
in bed 7 hours
被
before,
害者の
was
寝室に
sent
戻っ
back
た
to
んです
his room.
これが
That's the
この
truth
事件の
behind what
真相
happened
です
in this case. But so why was the window closed then?
これがエルミラーさんがあんなに
The
知りたが
truth
って
is that
い
the
た
same truth El Miller was wanting to know before.
それじゃ
Well then, our
これで
investigation
捜
is
査は終わっ
finished.
たのね。 あと残っているのは
What's left is to figure
こ
out
の
how
真
to
実を
tell.
どう
Like
伝
this
え
is
る
the most fucking. A woman killed her husband by cleaning. This is the greatest lesson in any game ever about like relationship advice. Like women should be careful when they clean.
エルさんには
As
僕
for
が
Mrs. Miller,
エル
I'll
ミラーに
L.
捜査
Miller
の過
doesn't
程
need
で
to know
判
every
明した
last
情
detail
報
of our investigation.
チーム長
Excuse me, Sergeant?
話すのは
Talking
倉庫の
about
ス
the
キル
shed
の部分
skill.
まで
If you don't tell Elle
そこ
about
まで
that
しかわ
part,
からな
she's
かった
apt
と
to
言
leave
え
it
ば
be.
私はこれが
I
ベスト
think
だと
that's the
思うんだ
last
けど
least we can do for
です
her.
が
Still,
エルミラーさんは
L. Miller
配
wanted to
偶者
know
の
the
死に
whole
ついて
truth
全ての
surrounding the
真
death
実を
of
知
her
りたがってい
husband.
ます
To that end, I
僕はで
promised
き
to
る限
help
り
her
彼
as
女を
best
手
as
伝
I
う
could.
単にその約束の
If
た
this
め
is
だけ
just
な
to
ら
keep a promise, you
やめ
should
てお
stop
きな
right
さい
there.
それはあなたの執着であって
Um,
エルミラーのた
if
め
that's
じ
the
ゃない
case, it's not determination to act in her best interest that's driving you, but your own pig-headed
向
nature.
き合う前だか
The
らこ
truth
そ
holds value only
価値
until
の
you
ある
come
真
face
実
to
という
face
もの
with
も
it.
あるのよ
Even if she says she wishes to
今
learn
は
the
被
truth
害者
of
の
his
死に
death.
ついて
If she
心
finds
から
out what
知りたい
really
と思って
happened,
い
she's
ても
gonna regret it.
実際に真実を知れば
Like L. Miller said,
Miller.
don't stick your nose in your
必ず
spouse's
後悔
hobby.
する
Yeah, but she did.
自分の
And
手
it
で配
killed
偶者
him.
を殺してしまった苦痛
How
は
painful must it
想
be
像
to
で
know
き
you
る
killed your husband with your own two hands?
わかりました
Understood. I lay
僕の
my
ため
own
の執
stubborn
着は捨て
nature
ま
to
す
the rest on this one. What's
ちょうど
happening with
こ
her
こだったよ
face?
な
That was sanity rending. It happened right here.
ノート
Do you
覚
remember
えてる
Note?
か僕た
The
ちがエ
first
ル
time
ミラ
we
ーさ
saw
んと
El
初
Miller,
めて
she
見
was
た時
standing right here.
そして
She was
倉庫に
shouting
向か
into
って
the
大
shed.
声で叫んだそんなにいい
You
な
can live in there
一
for the
緒に
rest of
そ
your
こで
life.
あの時エルさん
At that
は
time, Mrs. Miller
被害
was
者が死ん
reliving
だ
the
時
last
を再
moment
現
she
して
had
い
with
た
the
んですね
victim.
ずっと疑っていたん
She'd
です
been
よ
expecting it the whole
自
time.
分自
She
身は被害
suspected
者を
it was
死に追いやっ
she
た
who
んじゃない
killed
か
him.
とその確信を得
You
るために
confirm her suspicions.
チーム長
Sarge, I will
僕
never
は
understand the pain
配
now.
偶者を殺してし
Knowing
ま
I
った
killed
苦
my
痛はわ
spouse,
か
I
らない
can't
と思い
even
ます
begin to
その苦
imagine
痛
it.
ですが
However,
自
I
分を
know the
信じるこ
agony
とが
of
で
not
きない
trusting
苦しみは
myself more than
誰よりも
anyone.
それに
What's more,
誰か
I
が見返りを
know the
求めずに
relief
自
that
分を
comes
助
when
けようと
someone
してくれた
helps
時の
without
安堵
putting
感
any sort of price tag on it.
なので
So I'm gonna tell her.
これは執着
I
です
may
が
be pig-headed,
僕
but
の
this
ため
time
の
my
執着で
actions
は
are
あり
not
ま
for
せん
my own ends. Do you really have
チー
such
ム長
little
として
respect for your
のお電
sergeant?
話いってらっしゃい
Go
は
ahead.
いあり
Understood.
がとうご
Thank
ざい
you.
ます
そうでしたか
I see. Honestly, I
実
wanted
は
to know.
私が
I wanted to know that I was the one who killed him.
殺したということ
Okay, case closed. It still boggles my mind. Like this is the most red-pilled game ever. But I guess I
お
can
そらく
handle
被
these
害者は奥さんを
conversations
倉庫に
next
近づけない
time
ように
because
していた
it's
のは
very late. I want to go
奥
to
さんを
sleep.
気遣ってのことだったんでしょうね
So let's
倉庫の
just
中には
end the stream
危
here.
険
We
なステ
know
ッ
what
プもあった
happened
から
and she's talking blah blah blah, but we can read it next time. So I'm Adventure Argonaut. I thank you for watching and thanks for your help, sidekick Doppelhertz, and good night, bye bye, all that.